Great day planned. I hope you really enjoy it. Since we're here to educate you on Missoula, I think we put together a great day that will show all the different avenues that people around Missoula can get education, whether it's a 2-year college, a 4-year college, an alternative high school, or even dislocated workers. So I hope you guys enjoy the day. I'd also like to say inside your bags, each of us have tried to put something from our business inside the bags, but there's also a great article in there with our first guest speaker, President Engstrom from the university, and it was out of the Montanan magazine that the University of Montana puts out. So I did copy that and put that in the bags for you guys to read at a later date. Then I'm just going to say, go Sentinel, class of 87. Woohoo! Everybody introduce themselves.
Good morning. I'm Jackie Mom. I'm with Blackfoot Security and Video, which is a part of Blackfoot Telecommunications family of companies. I hope you enjoy today, and I will always put a shout out to my teacher, Miss Rawls, who made a difference in my life, my English teacher. Woohoo! Julie Pasucio, and I'm with Dave Davidson.
Barb Severson, Paradigm Architects.
Stephanie Rome, United Healthcare Network.
I'm Beth Ann Peterson, and I'm with Missoula County Public Schools. I'm a school counselor at Cold Springs School, and my shout out would be to my 8th grade English teacher, Mrs. Bowers at Target Range. She's long retired, I'm sure. I'm Molly Scorpion, Morrison, Maryland.
And I'm Alan Fugelberg, Associate Dean for the UN College of Technology. Welcome. Okay, we're going to kick off the day today with our first speaker. Our first speaker is President Royce Engstrom of the University of Montana. President Engstrom has served in this post since October 15th of 2010. Before he became president, he was provost and vice president of academic affairs at the University of Montana. President Engstrom.
Thank you, Alan. Good morning. Good to have the chance to talk with you today. Thanks for the invitation. Really appreciate the opportunity to sit down and talk with the future leaders of Missoula. Congratulations on being part of this class. I've heard quite a bit about leadership in Missoula over the last 3 years that I've been here, and so it's great to see all of you involved in it and actively participating. I've had the wonderful opportunity to live in Missoula now for about 3.5 years. My wife and I moved here from South Dakota 3.5 years ago, and it was the best thing we ever did. We just love it here in Missoula. And a big part of that is just the exciting interaction between the university and the community. I don't think there are very many universities that enjoy such a supportive community as we have here in Missoula. And vice versa, there aren't very many communities that have such a prominent and exciting university at the core of the community. So I think it's a great relationship and one that positions us well to be one of the leading institutions of higher education in this country in rural America. And that's really where we're headed. We're going to try to become a model university for rural America. And I think we have all of the attributes that will allow us to do that. So as Alan indicated, I became president October 15th, and it's been a whirlwind of activity since then. Been on the go constantly, and I want to just tell you a couple of stories about one of the most pleasant surprises of these few months, and that is the people that I've been able to meet, people who have fantastic careers, fantastic lives, and they are deeply committed to the fact that they owe their life to the education that they got at the university and the time that they spent in Missoula. So let me just give you a couple of fascinating examples of people I've interacted with just in the last several weeks. A few weeks ago, we were in Washington, D.C., arranging and carrying out a whole range of meetings of different kinds of folks. But one of the things we did was to give an award to one of our alumni. A Distinguished Alumni Award is what it's called. We usually do this at homecoming in the fall, but this individual couldn't make it to homecoming. And so we took the award to her out in Washington, D.C. Her name is Colleen McGuire, and she's the first brigadier general in the Army to come from the state of Montana. And in addition to that, she is the top law enforcement officer in the Army. So she's the person who oversees all of the military police and all of the legal proceedings and so on. And she was just the most fascinating young woman. Well, she's been at it 30 years, but she really is committed to carrying on the word of the university. She's a great ambassador for the university, and she told us stories that were really unbelievable. So what a fascinating person she was. Just last week, I was in Portland and Seattle meeting with a variety of people, and one of the individuals that I had the opportunity to meet with there is a fellow named Eric Sprunk. He's one of the vice presidents, one of 3 vice presidents for the Nike Corporation, a $20 billion a year company operating in 165 countries around the world. And the stories that he has to tell are just fantastic. And again, he credits his success in large measure to the time he spent in both Missoula and at the university. And that really is one of the real thrills of my job, is getting out to meet people like that. And so I'd like to just get a sense from this group. How many of you have spent some time at the University of Montana as a student? Okay, pretty good group. So we know a lot about what we're talking about. So down the road, a future president will say, "Hey, I had the opportunity to meet with Robert. I graduated from the University of Montana, doing great things around the world." So anyway, good to be here with you. So I see Jim Foley, our Executive Vice President, just walked in the back of the room. Jim, thanks for coming this morning. And I understand that it's my job to give this talk and then turn all the questions over to Jim at the end of it. So I already have set you up, Jim, with some really difficult questions.
I just want to make sure the camera's off when I start answering.
So I want to talk to you really about 2 key issues this morning, 2 key issues in education. And I know that the theme here today is about lifelong learning. And I want to approach that topic not so much about lifelong learning by the individual, but lifelong learning by all of us as a society, and what our obligations are, what our needs are, what our responsibilities are. So I want to begin the conversation by talking about the percentage of our population that has a higher education degree, a college credential of some sort. It might be a 1-year certificate, it might be a 2-year associate's degree, it might be a bachelor's degree, it might be a graduate degree. 15 years ago, our country educated more of its young people than any other country in the world. We educated at that time about 35% of the age bracket from 25 to 35 years old. Other countries around the world looked at the United States and said, you folks have a pretty high quality of life. What's the key to that? And many of those countries looked at us and said, the key is education, it's higher education. And so countries around the world began to invest in their own higher education systems. The result of that is, over this last 15-year period or so, 11 other countries have surpassed us in the percentage of their population that they educate with a college degree. So right now in the United States, we educate about 40% of our young people with a college degree. Here in Montana, it's a little lower than that. It's 37, 38%. So we're a little bit behind the national average. The leading countries are now educating 55, 56, 57% of their young people with higher education degrees. So now we've fallen in this last decade or so to 12th place among the industrialized nations, among the developed countries, in terms of the education attainment of our citizenry. So what does that mean for us as a country? It isn't just about being sort of number one in the world. That's not really the objective here. But it is about being the leading country in terms of addressing the global opportunities and the global issues that we face. We do have a responsibility as the United States to be among the leaders in addressing global problems and taking advantage of global opportunities and converting them into things that benefit not only our country but worldwide. We do pride ourselves in that leadership role. So we really do have a responsibility to push our educational attainment back into that leadership position. You probably heard President Obama even talk about this in recent years. He has a goal of producing so many more graduates, college graduates by 2020. Well, here in Montana, we have the responsibility to participate in that effort. We can't leave it up to the New Jerseys or the Californias or the Floridas or the Texases to produce those college graduates. We have that responsibility ourselves, both to the world, to the nation, but even more importantly, right here to our home communities. We'll develop as communities in an economic, social, and cultural sense if we increase the educational attainment right here in Missoula, right here in Montana. So how are we going to do that? The college-age population is still on the decline in rural America, so we're not producing as many 18-year-olds as we did a generation or so ago. And so this isn't just a matter of having more people to feed into our university system. So we have to really look in other places. The first place to look, and the place that I want to focus on this morning, is with those students who begin their education in college but don't finish. And it turns out to be a pretty big number. So nationally, and here in Montana, we have a 6-year graduation rate. So from the time a student starts to 6 years later, only about 43 or 44% of our students actually graduate. So we lose more than 1 out of 2 students somewhere along the way for various reasons. And so what are those reasons? Well, one reason is academic preparation. Some students get to college and they find that they're not ready for college level work, and they get discouraged and drop out. And I'll come back to that. The second reason is financial. It's not inexpensive to go to college, despite our efforts here in Montana to keep tuition at a pretty reasonable rate, and it is pretty reasonable on a nationwide average. But nonetheless, it's a pretty significant chunk of the median household income, and that creates challenges for people, and so some people stop out for financial reasons. Other people drop out or stop out just for personal reasons or social reasons. They don't quite realize, they don't quite understand why they're there. They haven't figured out their direction in life. They maybe haven't made the kinds of friends and colleagues that they need to make to sustain them throughout their studies. So there are all kinds of reasons why people don't persist in higher education. So we need to focus in on those reasons and do what we can to increase that level of success. So at the university, we've put in place something called Partnering for Student Success. It's a 6-step initiative aimed at improving, ultimately, graduation rates of students. We have 2 quantitative targets, if you will. We focus on the 1st to 2nd year retention rate, where currently about 27-28% of the freshmen don't make it to the sophomore year. And again, that's pretty typical of national public universities. We want to raise that freshman to sophomore retention rate to a level that puts us in the top quartile of public institutions, so that we're among the leaders in terms of helping students persist. And then the other parameter is that 6-year graduation rate. We need to move that from 43 or 44% where it is now up to 55 or so % to be in that top quartile. Again, to produce the kind of people that we need to solve today's problems and capitalize on today's exciting opportunities out there. Now, those 6 steps in that Partnering for Student Success plan cover the range from high school preparation on up through student support services, financial aid, faculty and staff development, helping them recognize students who are having problems and what to do with those students. I want to focus just on the first one here, since we're in Sentinel High School. And that first piece is high school preparation. We have taken some measures at the university with the approval of the Board of Regents to change the way that we do admissions of students at the university in an effort to help drive this idea of preparation in high school. So what we are trying to emphasize is that students need to take a full college prep curriculum in high school so that they can hit the ground running when they get to college. So what is that full college prep curriculum? Well, it includes several things. Things like 4 years of mathematics. It's amazing how many high school students take as little math as they can get away with. And man, I'll tell you, that closes more doors for people than just about anything else. If you think of mathematics, even fairly foundational mathematics like college algebra, that is essential for so many of the majors that people can study, whether they want to go into the sciences, the business sector, and even in today's world, things like history and sociology are becoming much more quantitative disciplines than they were in the past. Even the arts and media arts and understanding of mathematical concepts. So 4 years of math is in today's world essential for students headed toward college. And that better these days be most of the students, because in Montana alone, in the future, 68% of the jobs that are available in the next decade are going to require a college credential of some sort. So this isn't really that much of an option for our young people. If they want to have gainful employment and be contributing citizens, boy, college, some level of college education is essential today as high school was just a few years ago. So high school math preparation is one piece of it. Having science throughout the high school curriculum is another piece. Even if those students have no intention of going into science, that foundational background and the training of the mind that those disciplines challenge students with are so important, regardless of direction that they end up going once they get to college. And then another key piece of this is a language, a second language. In today's world, where global interactions are everyday occurrences for all of us, whether you run a grocery store in downtown Missoula or whether you're the vice president of Nike, global interactions are important, and we need to understand those. And having our students study a language in high school is an essential part of that. It develops an awareness of the global environment in which they reside. So anyhow, we are starting with the fall of 2013, we'll have in place an admissions process that gives automatic admission to students who have completed successfully that college prep curriculum in high school. 4 years of math, 3 years of science, 4 years of English, and 2 years of a language. Those students will walk in the door of the university, really no questions asked. If you don't have that as a high school student, we're going to ask you to submit some supplementary information that demonstrates college readiness in the form of some essays and some recommendations from teachers and counselors and so on. So the point here is not to keep anybody out. In fact, the technical admission standard will stay the same in terms of ACT scores, grade point averages, and so on. So the point isn't to keep people out, it's to keep them in once they start. And so the key to doing that is with that high school preparation. So that's one very important piece, and it fits so well, so nicely with Alex Apostle's emphasis on Graduation Matters Missoula. And so Alex, if I can speak for Alex, he's not here, the conversations we've had, he's delighted with this direction that we're moving, because now he can say, look, this is what it takes to graduate from high school in today's world. And it coincides exactly with what the university says is needed to begin college. Whereas if we continue to say, you can get in with any level of math and so on, that doesn't send a very strong message to the K-12 system. So that's one very important piece that we're focusing on. The second really important piece for college success and for increasing the number of students with a college credential lies in the program that Alan Fugelberg here operates in, and that's the College of Technology, 2-year education. In our country, 2-year education is exploding as a route into a college credential of some sort. Currently, in the United States, half of the students who are in public higher education are in a 2-year setting. It's quite an amazing development here in the last decade or 15 years. Now, we haven't developed quite that rapidly here in Montana, and so the percentage of participation in two-year education here is significantly less than that. And there is a statewide effort called College Now to increase the participation rates in two-year education. We have quite an array of offerings of two-year education in Montana. We have the colleges of technology, like the one here in Missoula. We have community colleges around the state, 3 of them. We have tribal colleges in the state as well. All of those provide avenues for two-year education, becoming more and more important every day. More important really for 2 principal pathways. One, increasingly many students are entering the College of Technology specifically for a program that is a 1 or a 2-year program with the intent of stopping there. And that's great. So many of today's occupations can be entered into on the part of the student with that 1 or 2-year certificate or associate's degree. Increasingly, students are using the College of Technology to get their start on higher education with the intention of going on to a 4-year degree somewhere. So the transfer function of a College of Technology is increasingly become important. And again, that's an area that we have quite a bit of work to do here at the University of Montana, as it turns out. Not many of the COT students up to this point have taken that route and transferring into a 4-year program. And I think that's an avenue for us that has much, much potential. So we're really interested in strengthening that part of the COT. Just put in a quick plug here. We all know that we need a COT building really badly. The one next door here is just not doing the job, not getting the job done. It's not up to today's standards, and so, as I think most of you know, we're working quite hard with the legislature to try to get that done. Okay, now I want to shift direction just a little bit away from sort of the business of just increasing the numbers of college graduates and focusing now on what is it we teach our undergraduate students during the course of their program. So I'm going to turn my attention now primarily to baccalaureate students, which is still by far the majority of the students that we educate at the University of Montana. And let's think for a moment about what we need to be providing our baccalaureate students, again, in today's world, in this global century that we are right in the middle of. Historically, I think in higher education, we've actually done a pretty terrific job in a couple of ways. All of us who have gone through our college at some point made a choice about a major. It might be history, it might be French, it might be business, whatever. There are probably, how many of you here? 40, there are probably 30 different majors in the room. And you come out of that major really with a good deal of expertise in that area. You're able to enter the workforce or go on to graduate school or a professional school, having a pretty solid foundation in that area that you selected to study. The other thing that we have done pretty well is to give our students a breadth of education through general education requirements. So regardless of what you decided to specialize in, most of us, in addition, took a range of courses to give us that breadth. So science courses, humanities courses, math courses, social sciences courses, and so on. So you end up getting at least the opportunity for a good deal of breadth in your education. But there are some things that I think we need to add to the curriculum in today's world, and we haven't done this very well, particularly in public university settings. Some of the small liberal arts colleges have done these things a little bit better. So we're setting forth on a track to incorporate these into every student's undergraduate education, ultimately at the university. So the first one of these is what I refer to as context. So we need to give all of our incoming freshmen the opportunity to think about the context in which they're getting an education, the context of those global questions, the big issues that we face as a global society, and the big opportunities out there as a global society, so that students participate in a program as freshmen, whether it's a seminar program or a speaker program, the details we're still working on. But the idea is that students come out of that experience deliberately asking themselves, how do I design my education so that I can contribute to those kinds of big questions, those kinds of big opportunities, and have them think deliberately with their advisor about that choice of major, about the general education courses that really reinforce their involvement in those big questions. So that's one component. Second component is to give all of our students along the way in their education the opportunity for a significant beyond the classroom experience. That might be a study abroad experience. It might be an internship with one of your companies or one of your businesses, or a federal agency or a state agency. It might be a civic engagement experience where they're involved in community development, either here in Missoula, their home community, or a community halfway around the world. It might be an undergraduate research experience where they are tackling some real research problem in the laboratory or in the field, working alongside the faculty. We need to have the opportunity for every student to have that sort of experience to supplement their education. This is more than just asking students to go out and volunteer to do things. That's great, and this upcoming generation of students is in really kind of a volunteer mindset. They do a pretty good job of that. But we need to make sure that we connect that energy to their education, so it's not viewed as a separate activity, but it's integral to their education along the way. The third piece then that we need to add is a capstone experience that brings people together, brings students together in groups of, say, 20, 25, from all different backgrounds, all different majors, all different experiences, different life backgrounds, and so on. Put them around a policy-solving table and ask them to come up with a specific question to work on and propose a real solution to that. A specific question, things like, should we go to biomass for our energy source with this particular organization, for example? Or what should Montana's policy be with respect to the health care reform? Or what should our nation's response to the events in Egypt be right now? So focus on some specific question and ask them to come together in an interdisciplinary problem-solving mode to really give us a solution to those. So they come out of here, they leave the university having had the experience of solving tough problems with people of different backgrounds. The way you and I do on a daily basis in our jobs and in our worlds. If we don't give our students the opportunity for that kind of experience as undergraduates, we're shorting them on the education they need to go out and function in today's society. So those are some efforts that we are working very diligently on at the university, trying to put in place those components of the curriculum, working with our alumni and our donor base to build up funds to actually be able to send students, whoever wants to go on a study abroad, for example. We don't want those opportunities available just for students who can afford them. We want them available for every student. So it's going to be a resource-intensive operation, curriculum, but one that I think is so necessary in today's world. Now, there's one other piece then that really comes back to the individual in lifelong learning. We recognize that once they're out, once our graduates are out in the workforce, that they have the need, they have the responsibility, and frankly, they have the interest in most cases to continue learning the way you folks are here through Leadership Montana. In today's world, electronic means of delivery is going to be one of the primary ways that we all stay engaged in learning as adults. And so we need to make sure that all of our students leave having had the experience of learning through electronic media, an online course of some sort. And so all of our students should now be taking at least a course, if not multiple courses, through online mechanisms. So they have that experience, and they can leave here with the confidence and the technical skills they need to continue that learning throughout their careers and throughout their lives. So those are some of the key directions that we're headed, and we want to make sure that our university and our community is responding and trying to stay in front of these national issues that are before us that relate to education. But those same issues come back right here to Montana, right here to Missoula. So the more people we can prepare properly for today's world with a higher education credential, I'm convinced that that is the key to economic success for Missoula, for Montana, for our nation. It's the key to the cultural development of our society and the appreciation of the broad range of topics in the arts that keep life exciting for us all in a community. And again, Missoula is such a great example of a community in that regard, with emphasis on the arts, culture, and interactions of all kinds. So those are some of the initiatives that we're working on. So I'm going to stop there and just see if you might have some questions and engage in a little dialogue. And we'll save the really tough questions for Jim. But thank you again for having me here this morning, and congratulations again on your participation in Leadership Missoula. Thanks. Any questions? Yes, sir.
Excuse me. Do you think there's any correlation to the increase in immigration to the drop in graduates or people going to college? Is there any factor there?
I think that's a good question, actually. And it works in various ways. Populations that are becoming greater, that are having a greater presence in our country. It's not unusual for, especially the first generation of those folks coming in, to not go to college. But we are seeing, a generation or two later where they really embrace college and see it as the way to move forward. And, a lot of the immigrants that have come here over past decades from Asian countries are great examples where their participation rates in higher education are very high. Their success rates are extremely high. The Hispanic population that is moving into the country, or that has been, has not participated yet, and we have a responsibility to help them see that that's an avenue for success as well. And they're beginning to participate in increasing numbers. So I think you're probably right that is somewhat of a factor. So I think it's our job to really embrace those populations and integrate them into the education system that we have as well. Yeah, good question. Yeah.
With funding becoming so much more difficult, especially for MSU and for U of M, and Montana being such a rural state, as you stated earlier, and so spread out, is there really a necessity to have like schools in Havre, Dillon, MSU Billings, the smaller schools? Is that kind of a drain on the higher education system, or is there really a reason that those should still exist?
Yeah. I think the right question here is what is the optimal distribution of not just educational benefits, but sort of the optimal distribution of wealth and economic activity in a rural state? And I don't know what the answer to that question is, but certainly those institutions, small as they are vital to the communities and the regions of the state in which they reside. There's no question about that. So Havre, MSU Northern is a vital part of that community and a vital part of the High Line. And if MSU Northern wasn't there, either historically or going forward, it would have a dramatic effect on the economic climate and the cultural climate of that area of our state, the High Line. If you were starting from scratch today and saying, let's design a higher education system for the state of Montana, erasing everything we have, we probably wouldn't design it in exactly the same way. I mean, these are historical developments that have placed institutions where they are in large measure. And so we wouldn't necessarily design it where we are. But I don't think it's really that much of an option in a practical sense to say that we're going to redesign this and start eliminating campuses or institutions. I just don't think that that's a practical solution to the issue. Now, we may need to think hard about the mission of those institutions. Is there a different way that we can direct our resources with those institutions to make sure that they're addressing the needs not only of their region, but the needs of the state in a unique way? So we do have to be careful that we're not just replicating programs all over the state. We need to be wise about that and think hard about when a new program is proposed by an institution. Okay, is there a demonstrated need for that program at that institution, or can it be filled by some other institution? Particularly today, when we can move courses around so readily electronically, there may be solutions to some of those needs that are other than the traditional let's start a new program here. We're seeing more and more of that going on in the state university system, where we're starting to share courses and even full degree programs more and more. So, I mean, the point is a good one. How do we distribute our resources for higher education? And there's a little bit the flip side of this working as well. So you may know that we have recently started the Bitterroot College program down in Hamilton. A few years ago, the folks in the Bitterroot Valley said, we want a community college so that we can meet our educational needs locally. So the regents and the legislature considered that request and in the end said, no, that's not a cost-effective way to deliver education, to set up a whole new community college an hour away from the University of Montana. We want the University of Montana to deliver programs down there. And so we're doing that through the Bitterroot College program. And it's quite an amazing success story. We have well over 300 course registrations right now, about 180 distinct people taking courses down in Hamilton. People that weren't getting higher education before for whatever reason. They're place-bound and so on. So I think we have an obligation to deliver education, not everywhere. We can't afford to be everywhere, anytime, any place. But I think we do need to be in those population centers that demonstrate a need for higher education. We need to be there in a cost-effective way without replicating all of the infrastructure of a university. So I think that Bitterroot College program is a good example of how we have been able to reach out to a new population of students, but doing so in a very cost-effective way. Long answer to the question.
I think you might be at your time.
Oh, I am. Yeah, I think so I'm going to ask Jim to come up and maybe make some other comments of his choice and talk to you and answer some of your questions. So, thank you all very much.
Good morning. My name is Jim Foley. As soon as the president leaves, I'll answer all the questions you want to ask. Let me mention a couple of items that he didn't mention. One was a program on the University of Montana campus called Digital Academy. And what it is essentially is it's a program set up to allow students from all across the state to take online courses that they normally wouldn't be able to take in their respective schools. It could be language like Arabic, it could be college algebra, it could be whatever course is out there that, in the smaller high schools, B and C high schools, that they normally wouldn't be able to take. It's a very successful program. I think the last count I saw, there were 1,200 or 1,300 students enrolled in it. And the reason it becomes important, it goes to what President Engstrom was talking about with regard to how do we move forward getting more college graduates. In the state of Montana, we have one of the highest high school graduation rates in the country. It's about 85%. Only about half of our high school graduates go on to any form of higher education. And we need to do better with that. The Digital Academy is one of the ways we can do that, where these smaller schools where we have good, thoughtful students that want to go on, but they don't have the classes or the curriculum or the money to take those courses. We now have this online mechanism in the state to be able to do that. And it's primarily dominated by, as I said, smaller high schools. They can't take advanced courses because they don't have the capacity or the teachers or the money to be able to provide them. So that's number one. By the way, they get credit for those not only at their high school but at the college level. And then we also have a dual credit program, which I think some of you are aware of, not only in Missoula at the 3 high schools here, but up to Bitterroot. And it allows honor students primarily to be able to take courses on our campus, get credit to graduate from high school, and if they stay in it long enough, they would be through their first semester of college in terms of their credits when they applied and went to whatever institution they went to. It doesn't matter if it's in Montana or not. All of those courses would transfer. And I think that's important because it gives them a head start if they want to be able to get on, some of these advanced courses on our campus and see how a college course works, to be able to apply to these other colleges, not only in Montana but around. We want them to go to Montana colleges to be able to be more competitive, and it has worked. Many of those honor students who I've had the opportunity to chat with have said that their whatever courses they were taking in high school were challenging, but once they got into college, it was kind of a new day for them, and so they had to reconfigure how they did their work and what they did, and it was a good challenge for them. So with that, I'm glad to answer any other questions you have before you move on, but I wanted to mention the Digital Academy in particular. Yes, ma'am.
What is the percentage of Montana high school graduates staying in Montana for their higher education?
It's about 70%. It varies a little bit if you look at various numbers, but if you look at the number of high school graduates who go to all the units of higher education in Montana, it's about 70%, about 30% that do not. Now, where do they go? And we've tried to track that at some degree. They go, some of them go get jobs, for example, in the oil fields because it's good money at the time. Some of them don't have the capacity financially to go on because they don't understand the financial aid network very well. Or third, they don't know that they can compete, in the education system at the college level. It's about 70%. Yes?
Do you happen to know what percent of the graduate students finish and what percent don't at the University of Montana?
You mean masters and PhD students? It's pretty high. I don't know the exact percentage, but I think it's in the high 80s or low 90s, if not higher. It's pretty high. For 2 reasons. Master's degree candidates, obviously have a program in mind where they want to go, and it's a very specific curriculum they're into. PhD candidates, they usually get some sort of teaching assistantship or some ability to be able to, stay in the program. By the way, the only real 2 PhD programs are the 2 flagship campuses, the University of Montana and Montana State University. I don't know the percentage, I'm not sure, but I've seen it, and it's very high. What else? Yes?
Of the folks starting college and then not making it to the end, what's the breakdown by gender?
It's primarily men.
That don't make it.
What is that?
I don't know that I have the answer to that. I think that I may be the wrong one to answer, but I'll give you my opinion. I think that what happens is a combination of 3 or 4 things, and Alan and others, and Sean may be able to chat about this as well. They get caught up in the financial side of this where they want to go to work in some place and do it quickly. And I don't know that that's a sexist statement. It's just kind of a matter of fact. There are other issues that come forward with males on at least the 2 flagship campuses, whatever they may be. There are social issues that they tend to get involved with that women don't as much, and that's just a fact of society. And then third, it's a fact of life that the success from freshman to sophomore year. When we talk about partnering for student success, women do better between those 2 years. I don't know if that means they're better prepared or they're more disciplined. I don't know the answer to that, but they just do.
Can I make a comment about that?
Absolutely. Like I said, I'm the wrong one to answer that.
Well, I have a son and a daughter, 17 and 18. So I've noticed that, for my daughter, she's had the program GUTS, Girls Utilizing Their Strength. The exact same program for the boys is called Monkeys. So I feel like maybe there's been a swing, and the boys don't have the support network that the girls do anymore.
That may be. One of the things with that I'll mention that President Engstrom chatted about, one of the small initiatives in partnering for student success is something that sounds real simple, but it's a study group that we actually do in the University Center where the students eat at night. And faculty and mentors come in to help them on their subjects and their courses. And if you go in there in the evenings, like at 6 or 7 or 8 o'clock at night, there are 200 or 300 students in there. And I think it's one of those small efforts that will make a difference in terms of student success as we go forward. They're just looking for some help, and they want to work together on it. And it's, I don't know the breakout for men and women, by the way, I've never done that, but it's been very successful. We do the same thing in residence halls as well, where we have study groups that mentors and faculty come in and chat with them about issues they may be having in their class. And again, it seems pretty elementary, but it wasn't organized as well as it could have been up until about 2 years ago. Yes, sir.
I can tell you my youngest son, the draw of a good paying job pulled him away from college. That quick money, I can make money now, I can go play and do the things I want to do rather than stay in college and get an education. And that's what drug him away. He went away real quick.
Yeah, and
it took about a year and a half.
You know, it's not all financial, I can tell you that. I think that the theory is that they get into financial issues or they're in debt, or that's not what it is. They see an opportunity to be able to, you know, get along in life and make a living and learn a skill of some sort outside of higher education.
And he is. He's got a really good job. He did really well. I have another question. What percentage of graduates in the state of Montana actually get to stay in Montana?
You know, that's a really good question. And I'll tell you something. I'll start with this. There's a lot of mythology out there about the people who graduate from the Montana University system, not just the University of Montana. And you hear it, frankly, from elected officials in particular about they're all leaving the state, they're all going to Seattle, they're all going to Portland. And that's just factually incorrect. About 67 to 70% of graduates who come out of the Montana University system stay in Montana. Now, are they in their curriculum that they study for? Not necessarily. I understand that, but they stay in Montana. I hear lots of figures coming out all the time about, you know, only about 50% or less, you know, stay in Montana. It's just factually not correct. We have the data to back it up. It varies a little bit year to year, but it's about 67 to 70%. By the way, I'll just take one other step on that. The College of Technology with Allen, within a year, 80%, a little more than 80%, I think I have this right, get jobs in Montana following, you know, either they get a certificate of trade or following their 2-year degree program.
So it varies a little bit with the curriculum you graduate.
Well, it does. And again, the next question is, well, are they in their, you know, curriculum that they studied for? And the answer is probably not 67 or 70%, but our data shows the vast majority are in some fashion, but not 100%. No.
When I graduated in engineering, there was very low percentages of people I graduated got to stay in the state.
Well, Montana Tech at the University of Montana is an example in engineering. Their placement rate, not in Montana by the way, but their placement is, I think, 96%. The average starting pay is $80,000. Not all those are in Montana, obviously.
We have just time for a couple more questions.
Sean?
When I went to college in the 70s, it was more kind of a traditional experience where most students were there to go to college. If you worked, you did work study, that kind of thing. In business, and I've done some research with some of our graduate students and undergrads, about 80% of our students have jobs. And a lot of them are working full-time. And they're also full-time students. In our curriculum, we really want them to work in groups. And they can't work in the group in the class, they have to work outside of the class. And it's really hard to be a full-time student and a full-time employee. Are we seeing that across the university, or is that just a phenomenon in business?
I don't know that they're full-time employees, but what we see, I think, pretty predominantly is they have at least a job. And so as a result of that, we have students who take not 18 credits, but take 12 or take 10 credits, because it's not so much, it's the time available and what they can afford at the time. And so that's part of the dilemma we get into about graduating within 4 or 5 years. It's they can afford and work and be able to study and do well. They try to manage it as best they can. But the vast majority of students, after their freshman year, by the way, have some sort of employment in some fashion. Work study, something downtown, something on campus. I'm not sure that hurts graduation necessarily, but we also have a certain percentage of students who work 2 or 3 jobs and take 6 credits a semester, and that's a problem, because 7 years later, they're graduating. Actually, to tell you this one story. Every year in the spring, a couple of us go talk to the band, which is an amazing thing at the University of Montana, as it is on other campuses. And Kevin Griggs, as the director, has done just an incredible job there. And they hand out awards for how long they've been in the band. And so this last spring, I was there and I was about to stand up and speak to them and thank them for what they do on behalf of the University of Montana. And many of them put in long hours, long before school starts, by the way, because of football. And they handed out an award for somebody who had been there 7.5 years. And I actually said to him when we were leaving, I said, I don't want to be rude here, but it's time for you to go. And he said, well, I'm having fun. I like the band. And I'm like, you gotta go. I don't know who your mother and father are, but I need to talk to them. But, that's kind of what goes on a little bit. They enjoy the experience. Anything else?
Just one more question.
One more question. Yes, sir.
I think everybody can kind of realize it's not the best job market currently.
Right.
I was wondering if you saw an effect on student retention from that, and also if the university has strategies for giving students a leg up on employment and partnering with private companies or something.
I actually have two responses to that. The first one is, I think the increase in enrollment that you see in all the campuses around the state is as a result of people not just wanting to go back to take a class, but wanting to go back and get either their degree finished, start a degree, continuing their education on whatever topic or place they're working, because they want to be more competitive in the job market as they go forward. And I think that's economic driven, not necessarily any other reason. I think that's a positive thing, though. I really do, because I think that's how you begin to move the economy of the state forward, like ours, which is lightly populated. But the second part of it is, President Engstrom chatted about this. Part of what we're trying to do in an experience in a 4 or 5 year period, either at a 2-year or the 4-year institution, is to get them into internships so that they can get real world experience and have the ability to compete either at the place they're doing the internship or a place like that as they go forward. And the School of Business does an incredible job doing that, and many of those graduates, I think, Sean, go on and work in that particular field because they had an internship. And then kind of as a subpart, which we've done for a long time, but I think it's a different emphasis, is being able to counsel students well in advance about where they're at in their degree program, what courses they need to take, whether it involves study abroad, whether it involves an internship, and to help them when they graduate. Where are you going to be in the job market? What can we do to help you with that? So we put more emphasis and money into that effort as well. Does that answer that question? I mean, I really do think that and this is not a partisan or a political statement, but people have to, in the legislature and on the national level, have to figure out how to invest in education at all levels. Not because I'm there, but it's how you begin to move the economy forward. That's how you do it. And in states like ours, that are lightly populated and don't have multiple corporations to move the economy, that's how you do it.
Jim, may I follow up with one thing? One thing we have been very good at it in the 2-year setting is most students in most of our programs, in our career and technical programs, education programs, are required to do an internship, usually in their last semester, which often leads to a job. And in our industrial trades, we have people come to campus and heavily recruit our welders, our diesel mechanics, our heavy equipment operators. And so we have good placement into good jobs. It's been a little lighter the last couple of years. But we have, for example, we had Princess Cruise Lines out of Alaska down a couple of years ago recruiting diesel mechanics to work on their trains, of all things. So we have people coming out of Wyoming, Western States Caterpillar, Wyoming Caterpillar, welding companies. They come to us looking to recruit our students. So that works well too.
I have one other thing I want to mention after this, if I can. Recruiters who come to the University of Montana, and frankly Montana State University and other campuses in Montana, like to come to Montana because of something you're all familiar with. It's the work ethic in this state and how we came to be who we are and how we move forward. And they say it every time. And it's one of those things I think sometimes we take for granted, but when people come in from the outside here to recruit, they bring it up every single time. Let me mention one other thing. It's just a pitch for this is a pitch for the College of Technology, because I know the president didn't talk about this. We do have a bonding bill that's been introduced, about an $89 to $90 million bonding bill, of which $29 million is for the new College of Technology, which will go on our South Campus. As you talk to legislators and as you have the opportunity to write letters to the editor or to make a comment about the COT, I can't tell you how important that is to not just the University of Montana, but more importantly to this community and to this state. It is the largest and fastest growing COT in the university system. It's in a building that was built in 1968, with all due respect, for 700 people. They now have 2,500 students. We want to give that building back to the school district. We'd like to have a new facility, not just because it's the University of Montana, but we think it's good for this state and good to be able to move the economy forward. So thank you very much. Thank you.
All right.
Hi, as mentioned, my name is Matt Sturgis. I'm a Loyola graduate in the class of 74. I competed in speech and debate in high school for 4 years in the same event, which is memorized public address with analysis, which should not impress you very much. I really knew nothing about speech and debate aside from the couple of events I was familiar with. And my dream was to come back to Loyola and be a history teacher and coach cross country and coach speech and debate and coach track. And I'm living the dream for me. I feel very, very fortunate that things worked out as they did. But, and it's perfect, John Horner's here. John was in the class of 84 from Loyola, one of the first classes I taught. He was a sophomore, I think, when I first started in 81. And it's quite a story when I think about what we have accomplished. I mean, aside from the 28 state championships, which is, do you think I was planning on that when I started 30 years ago? No. I just wanted to win one, to be honest with you. I thought, oh, would it be cool to be a coach of a state championship team of any kind? And, you know, to me, that's just what I wanted. And speech and debate really meant a lot to me when I competed. I made a lot of good friendships, but in the days when I competed at Loyola, we used to go to tournaments in cars because there just weren't very many kids that were in the program. And occasionally we'd take a bus. And we were pretty successful, but not superstars or anything like what we've been able to achieve lately. And so I really had this vision and a dream to try to build something. And it was really difficult because the year I took over, the coach before me was a real nice guy, but he was an English teacher who I think got stuck with the job. And he kind of let the kids have a free rein, and they were pretty used to doing what they darn well wanted. And I'm coming in with this type A structure, and here's how we're going to do things. It didn't work out too well. I ended up kicking 3 off the team for drinking. They couldn't understand why. I believe in this thing called practice. It was just a real, I mean, John, I don't know if you remember any of that, but it was unbelievable. I wasn't one of the ones kicking. No, he was not. No, he was not. It was our first year we scored 80 points for the season, okay, in 9 tournaments, okay. We scored 190 points at state last week, okay, in 1 tournament. So that's how far what we started with, pretty rough. And it was really hard because the stereotypical speech kid was what you might associate if you don't know much about it. Some of the kids were antisocial, kind of nerdy, not very polite. Now, my first speech meet in Polson, October 10th, 1981, 3 of the more veterans coaches at Polson pulled me aside and said, you know, we know you're trying to build a team, but frankly, we're tired of Loyola kids and the way they behave. And if you don't get a handle on them, we're not going to invite you to our tournaments because we're sick of it. And I was like, oh. By that time, I knew what they were saying after 6 weeks of working with some of these kids. And it was like, we have to change directions. We have got to change the attitude. And what really worked well for us was that I was able to get Denise Tripp, whose name now is Denise Warren, to come out for the team. And I got a kid named Joel Brolin. One was a halfback on the football team, the other was homecoming queen. And my goal was to show kids at Loyola that this is just not for quote-unquote nerds, that this is for everybody. And you'd be well advised to get on this team. And as time went by, we began to build. And I don't mean to bore you with a history lesson of the speech team, but
it really was a very long, hard process to get to that first championship. It took 3 years of unbelievable work. And my first year, we had 14 kids go to divisionals. It was in Eureka. We got buried by snowplows on our way back to Kalispell. We had to spend the night in Kalispell. The roads were closed. We didn't know it. And we're driving vans in those days because buses, you know, are so expensive. So I'm just telling you, there's stuff that I did in the 1980s that we would be sued for today. Have I done 360s with van loads of kids on the freeway? The answer is Fifth Amendment. Okay? You know, and kids going, does it really matter that much? I'm like, we can get to Phillipsburg. We can make it work. I don't think this is worth it, Sturge. I'm like, oh, come on. You know, whatever. So I'm like, this is crazy. But I was 25 in bulletproof. Back in those days, if I had known we could win a meet in Seattle, I'd have driven to Seattle. Okay? Now I get on the bus to go to Pulse, and I'm like, oh, God. You know, bus leaves at 6:30 in the morning, we'll come home at 10 o'clock at night. I'm like, this is really... So I'm stepping back a little bit. The word retirement was used in the paper, if you saw it. Retirement? I'm not golfing anytime soon. So I'll be working with the kids, scaling back. But anyway. So the second year we had 19 kids come out, and we darn near won the state title. It was just like, oh my God. We came within 2 points. And it was just one of those things that I went into the meet telling our kids, we're a better team this year. I think we can be in the top 5. Because the year before we were 14th and we were home early. Nobody made finals. Okay? And it came down to the very last ballot and the very last event. And we came in second, which was kind of like, cool, we got second, but we were so close to first. And the third year, we had 46 kids. 46 kids out of 170 came out for speech. And I went, oh my God. And I was the only paid coach on staff. Now I have a paid debate coach, a paid assistant coach, and I got a couple of volunteer coaches who come in and help out too. It's much larger now. But at the time, that's what we started with. I mean, it was just, and I was paid less than the other head coaches on staff. Father Global was going to cut the program because of the problems that had existed before. It was really a long uphill fight. And the reason I bring this up is because I hear a lot of stuff lately, which is like, I wish I coached a team that won a meet every time they showed up. I wish I won a championship every year. I'm like, you have no idea what 1981 was like. And would I go through it again? No. Okay, absolutely not. So I apologize if I've droned on about the history here, but we didn't start with these championships. We had to build it. And you should see the kids that I've had the honor to coach. Anyway, there are 7 speech events and 2 debate events. And one thing that always bugs me is when parents come up and say, oh my God, my Johnny should be one of your debaters. I can't win an argument with him. And it's like, you know what, if you think debate is arguing, you're wrong. It's part of part of debate, but there's research involved, organization, right? Or being able to anticipate. It's really a great skill. Policy debate involves 2 kids debating on some kind of issue across the country. Everybody debates it. This year's topic dealt with peacekeeping forces in 7 countries, like Afghanistan and Iraq and Somalia, and South Korea. So you had to have debate resolutions, debate plans to support the resolution, and the negative team had to attack that plan. And you know what really excites me about that is that you have some of the brightest minds in the country researching key policy issues that affect our nation. Last year was healthcare. The United States government should substantially alter its healthcare policy or something. And you had to be able to be affirmative and negative. And I think it's great that high school kids are really boning up and learning a lot about key policy issues that I think should be a source of hope for growth. The other debate is called Lincoln-Douglas debate, where you debate on values. Okay? For example, there was one a number of years ago. Political assassination should be a diplomatic tool. And it's moral, it's ethics. So you're like, well, yeah, if we knocked out Hitler, who knows? And then, of course, you say, well, some people might think knocking off Obama would be a good idea. And so then where do you draw the line ethically? You know what I mean? So you have to be able to go both sides. You're like, oh, cool, I've got the affirmative. Oh, I love that. But the next round, they have to go neg. And the cool thing about that is, in my opinion, is that you have kids who are conservative or liberal. They've got their own preconceived notions about a topic resolution. And when they come out of it after that 1 month of debating that resolution is, they'll say something like, you know, I haven't really changed my thinking about what I thought about this issue, but I kind of recognize the other side a little bit more. That's called, what's that called? Oh yeah, education. I think it's called critical thinking, and we need more of it. Okay? So I think it's great, the debates. I don't coach the debate events. I coach the 7 speech events. And there are 7 of them, and the way we break up the oil is because I have so many kids. I will do, like on Monday, memorize public address with analysis and original oratory. Tuesday is impromptu speaking and expository speaking. You'll see one of each of those today. Wednesday, because I love it so much, is extemporaneous speaking day, where a kid has 30 minutes to prepare a 5 to 7 minute speech on a national or international topic. You know, will the Republicans in the House be able to balance the federal budget? And then we have articles that we can research, and the kid gets up there and presents without notes. My kids go without a card for 5 to 7 minutes answering the question, citing sources. It's amazing when you see what they can do. Okay. And then we have the interps, humorous and serious interp, where everyone thinks that's easy because you don't have to memorize, you read. But believe me, it's tough, and I'll explain that when I bring one of my interpreters up to perform. Okay? The events require different skills, but all of those skills, I can assure you, you will use the rest of your life. And it takes everything. It takes education and skill learning and competitiveness and puts it all together. I love it. Because when I'm coaching, unlike some of the other sports, you know, when you're 40 years old, football's kind of a tough sport to play. You know, basketball, that ended for me when I was 35, and there was no loss to the game. You know, there were no reports of a comeback. Maybe Stewards will come back to basketball. No, they were not talking that way. But speech and debate is a lifetime skill. It's a life, and you use it in so many ways. It could be the city council meeting that you go to where somebody proposes something totally stupid. And does anybody have anybody against this motion? This gives you that confidence to stand up, and maybe as you're walking up to the podium to give a little testimony, to organize a couple of thoughts and say something. It's the 50th anniversary that I went to in Iowa for my wife's grandparents, and they had 4 kids, and 2 of them wouldn't say anything. I mean, my mother-in-law organized, and she's the oldest. I'd like each of us to say something at this thing, and 2 of them, I can't speak in front of people. I'm like, oh, come on. You know, for 20 years, your parents changed your diapers, fed you, cared when you were sick. You can't stand up for 20 seconds and say, thanks, Mom and Dad? Give me a break. I thought it was just pathetic. And yet there are people, they'd rather have their eye teeth removed without Novocaine than get in front of a group. You know? And so I think it's a great experience. It gives you confidence in tough situations. I just think I really believe in what this is all about. So anyway, now here's what we're going to do. I'm going to have Liz Rayvine come up, and she's going to do expository speaking. And in expository speaking, you use visual aids, and the goal in expository speaking is to inform. Tell us about something using visual aids. It has to be memorized, no longer than 10 minutes in length. Okay? So the hard part in expository speaking is organizing. Now here's the thing I need your help with. I have Sam Scott here. He's an impromptu speaking. He's going to get up and do a speech for you. But here's my plan. As Elizabeth is giving her speech, I'd like Sam to be preparing his. So in an impromptu, you walk in, you get a cartoon or a quote, and you have 3 minutes to prepare a 3 to 5 minute speech. Okay? Now we're going to go, we're kind of cheating here. But while she's giving her speech, I'd like him to be preparing his impromptu. But I need, we don't need cartoons yet. So I need one of you to give Sam a quote.
Yeah. Live life, taste death.
Live life, taste death. Can you have that, Sam? Okay. Live life. Is that a quote? Was that from anybody, or is that just you?
Yes. I'm a man of many mottos, but that's from a 1980s ski movie.
Cool. Okay. So I will let Elizabeth come up, and she will do, okay, this guy, just say this. Elizabeth will do her expository speech for you. And again, the goal is just to inform about something. Can you see this okay from this? Okay. Then I will let you take the lead.
Is everyone ready? When I was a small child, I distinctly remember singing fun little songs merely to pass the time. These songs seemed light and upbeat. But maybe if I really understood the words I was singing without care, I would have stopped instantly, horrified at their true meaning. The songs I'm talking about are nursery rhymes. These seemingly innocent songs often have a more provocative meaning once their lyrics have been analyzed. Some nursery rhymes convey a dark story, full of death and hardship, while others may reflect a current reigning power of the time. There is one nursery rhyme about a period so horrid that millions of people died. Ring Around the Rosie tells the story of bubonic plague, a disease so destructive that people often died within 3 days of their first symptoms, and in total eliminated up to half of Europe's entire population. Like most other nursery rhymes, there are several versions of Ring Around the Rosie. The most common version starts out by saying, "Ring around the rosy." This refers to a characteristic red rash in the shape of a ring or a circle. Then comes a pocket full of posies. At the time, it was believed that this disease was transmitted through bad smells. So, people soon began carrying posies with them, which were aromatic herbs and flowers used to combat the bad smells, therefore keeping them healthy. After that comes ashes, ashes, we all fall down. This is perhaps the most gruesome part of the song, because it refers to the ashes that fell from the sky, from the bodies of cremated plague victims. There is a happier story, but by no means is it a joyful one. London Bridge is Falling Down is a nursery rhyme about the London Bridge in England. It tells us the history of the bridge, as well as its various downfalls. According to both the song and history, the first bridge was made of wood and clay and was constructed during the Roman occupation in England. However, this wooden bridge was constantly getting in trouble with fires, and it eventually needed to be replaced. The song next depicts a bridge made of bricks and mortar, which is actually the old London Bridge, built by Peter of Colchurch to replace the wooden bridge. The construction of this bridge was completed in 1209, and it quickly became a popular place. The bridge was soon a desired place to reside as well, and money began pouring out of the area at a pace so rapid that the song says the bridge was made of silver and gold. This part of the song undoubtedly referred to the trading and profit being made on the old London Bridge. Another English-based nursery rhyme is the story of Humpty Dumpty, which is not in fact about a big egg sitting on the wall, but rather a cannon. During the Second English Civil War in 1648, a royalist army flowed into the town of Colchester. Following them was a parliamentarian army, who then proceeded to siege Colchester in an attempt to destroy the royalists. Within the town was St. Mary's Church, and next to the church on a wall, the royalists placed a massive cannon as a part of their defense against the parliamentarians. During the 15th century, the term Humpty Dumpty was used to describe a very obese person. This name was then given to the immense cannon. However, the parliamentarians launched an attack that immediately knocked out the wall that Humpty Dumpty was resting on. The need for a cannon was extreme, but Humpty was of no use lying on the ground. The royalists then tried with all their might to raise Humpty onto a different part of the wall. However, it remained useless since the cannon was so immense. All the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty together again. There are some nursery rhymes that speak of current reigning powers during the time in which they were written. One English nursery rhyme, Mary, Mary, quite contrary, recalls the atrocities of Queen Mary I. When Mary became Queen of England, she quickly abolished all laws regarding the Protestant faith. She then replaced them with her own laws, declaring that Catholicism was again the national religion, and it was to be strictly followed. Some people quickly converted to the new religion in order to spare their own lives. However, those who dared to remain loyal to their Protestant faith were condemned from the start. They refused to take the only life-giving option they had, and they died as martyrs. Going back to the song, there is a line that reads, "How does your garden grow?" which was seen as Mary's garden, which was actually thought to be a graveyard that continued to grow as she continued to persecute Protestants. The silver bells and cockle shells are thought to be instruments of torture, which are mentioned in the poem. The ending of the song reads, "And pretty maids all in a row." This is thought to have come by the common name for the guillotine, called the maiden in Mary's time. In the song, maiden would have been shortened to maid for convenience sake. Either way the song is analyzed, the meaning is dark and threatening. A later developed English nursery rhyme regards the Spanish Armada. A version of "Rain, Rain, Go Away" tells the story of the war between Spain and England in 1588. The Spanish Armada set out for England and was met by a sad-looking English fleet. The odds were severely against England, who lacked an actual navy. So, England bravely sent her own sadly armed merchant ships to do battle with the fierce and experienced Spanish warships. The English were so greatly outnumbered that nobody expected what would happen. Somehow, England managed to defeat and mangle Spain's impressive warships. Going back to the song, the first line is "Rain, rain, go away," which refers to a massive amount of rain that fell during the battle and helped to scatter the Spanish fleet and make them more exposed. This gave England the help that they needed to defeat the Spanish. The ending of the song rings, "Rain, rain, go to Spain. Never show your face again." A line that shows England's immense pride in their victory. In a different country that was to have its own problems with England, a nursery rhyme was born regarding the French Revolution. Jack and Jill is actually the story of King Louis XVI and his queen, Marie Antoinette. The opening line to this song is, "Jack and Jill went up a hill," which is believed to depict Louis' ascension to power. However, during the French Revolution, King Louis XVI was convicted of treason by the National Assembly. During this time, a man by the name of Maximilien Robespierre gained power. He agreed that Louis was a threat to France. King Louis XVI was beheaded by guillotine on January 21st, 1793. Going back to the song, there's a line that reads, "Jack fell down and broke his crown," which refers to the beheading of Louis. However, the next line in the song is, "And Jill came tumbling after." After Louis' death, his queen, Marie Antoinette, was also beheaded. These two beheadings marked the Reign of Terror, a time in France that Robespierre dominated, and during which condemned thousands to death who were seen as enemies of the revolution. Throughout history, stories are passed down, through legends told by elders and scholarly scribes who managed to write down what is happening in the world. Stories are told and imaginations go wild. Time adds its own variation to the tale, and eventually, from these stories, nursery rhymes are born, with their own unique way of telling history. Thank you.
She's a sophomore. Thanks, Liz. A lot of poise, and her diction is really, really good. And we had another kid, Matt Dollar, did his on the drilling wall, which is amazing because the audience doesn't remember much about it. And we also had a girl, Mariah Abbott, who was on biomimicry, how using inventions by looking at nature and getting some ideas for it. Pretty interesting topic. So anything can work as long as it's not persuasive and it's informative. Okay? So now, I think it's time to bring Sam Scott up to do his impromptu speech on quite an interesting topic. Good luck, Sam.
All right, well, normally I'll ask if my audience is ready, so if y'all are, I'll begin. The country we live in today exists because of the American Revolution. And looking at history, I realized what a great risk we took in building this country. How our founding fathers were taking on the most powerful nation in the world in order to break off from it. They were taking a huge risk. You could say they were tasting death. But because of that, we have the country we live in today. It's like the quote I received today from a very wise man who I believe was named Anonymous, where he tells us, live life, taste death. And when I hear this quote, it makes me think of the risks we need to take in order to live our lives. And in my speech on risks, I'll take a look at 3 main points. In my first point, I'll take a look at the advantages that come from taking risks, how they can help us to live our lives. In my second point, I'll take a look at some of the disadvantages that come along with that. And in my third and final point, I'll take a look at how we can have the advantages while avoiding the disadvantages. But if you follow me back to my first point, where I was going to take a look at all the advantages that we can get from taking risks. First of all, if we are willing to taste death, it keeps us from inaction. An example of that would be a battle in the Civil War, where the head general, Robert McClellan, saw Robert E. Lee's left flank exposed and didn't fire. Many people believe that if he had fired on the Confederates, we could have won the war right there. But he was afraid of the casualties it would cause to his own men, and because of that, the war dragged on for many more years. And secondly, is that if we are willing to take risks, if we are willing to taste death, it allows for success. Looking at Hollywood today, seeing the giant Disney studio, seeing how animated movies are some of the most popular and money-making movies of all, we have to look back at the very first one that both the studio and the genre made, Snow White. But before it came out, they called it Disney's folly. They said it would lose huge amounts of money because no one would want to sit through a cartoon for 2 hours. But he was willing to take that risk and get that movie made and released, and because of that, he had all the success that he had. But unfortunately, sometimes taking risks can't lead to success. Sometimes tasting death can lead to getting a little bit more than a taste. And in my second point, I'll take a look at some of those disadvantages. First of all, is that when we're too willing to take risks, we don't think of the consequences. A movie that I think some of you might have seen and that I enjoyed quite a bit was The Other Guys, where we see these 2 cops who take risks constantly, never thinking of the consequences. And then as they see a criminal escaping from them while they're on top of a building, they look down and say, one says to the other, "Are you thinking what I'm thinking?" The other one tells them to aim for the bushes. They jump off the building and they die. And secondly, is that if we take too big of risks, it allows for failure. An example of that would be another American war, the war in Vietnam, where we did not assess the risks that we were taking by going into that war. And because of that, we were forced to leave the country in disgrace. It's the closest we ever came to a surrender in a war, all because we took risks without assessing them. But we don't have to live our lives that way. We can have a balance. And in my third and final point, I'll offer some solutions. The first thing that I would say is to know which risks are worth taking and which ones can harm us. To have that kind of discerning mind, that critical thinking, that will help us to take the risks that we can afford to take and not to take the ones that we can't. And for every risk that we can afford to take, to make sure that we have the confidence to taste death. Because that is how we will live our lives. Make sure that we are willing to go in there and take that risk, because it can lead to as great of successes as this whole nation. Thank you.
Did that cover it okay?
That was very well done.
and you know, it makes it look easy, but there's definitely some technique that you have to learn, which is you have to learn the outline style. Identify what the topic is from the quote, and I say break it down to one word, in this case, risk. Then you decide what format do you want to use, pro-con solution or cause-effect solution. Those are the 2 formats that you usually use. Crime is a cause-effect. There's no pros to crime that I can think of, so you go to the cause-effect. Okay, does that make sense? So you decide what outline style to use, And there's some little finer points of an introduction that you need to know. You tell a story, which is kind of the hook or some scenario that brings your audience in. You state the topic so there's no confusion, and then you roadmap where you're going in your speech. And then you go back to your first point. And it takes time to learn that. He makes it look real easy. He's an amazing kid. He took second in state. Liz, by the way, took third in state 2 years in a row now. But in finals, he got a 1, first place with 3 judges, and a 7. That just happens. Those keep you scratching like, I'd like to see the comment sheets. What happened with that? But that's speech, man. And you know, my daughter was a state champion track runner, and I just say that because I like to brag about her. And she was also state champion promptu speaker. But she said, I always liked track more because I knew when I won the race, I'd won the race. You know, because somebody else has decided whether I won or not. But that's the view. That's why we have 3 judges in finals, and usually you have the same kids at the top every meet. It's a good system. Okay, finally we have the interps. Now, I want to explain to you about how it goes in the interps. Everybody thinks it's easy because you don't have to memorize, you read. But there are some rules you have to understand. Rule number 1 is you can't move your feet. You can't move your feet. You can do an introduction, and then you can take a step, and then when you're doing your piece, you can't move your feet. You can't use your hands. And you can't use your binder as a prop. You know, like George and Lenny of Mice and Men. I see it, George! You know, you close the book like a gunshot or something. You can't do that, okay? So you can do all kinds of gyrations, but your feet have to be planted, okay? And believe you, some of these interpreters you can't be serious. And the double A's now have just simply said no binders, get rid of the binder. So now it's just drama with a suit. They're moving around and they're gyrating, and you're like, and I think that's where they're going. I don't know if I like that or not. And my interpreters have mixed feelings about it. In the BC, which we're Class B school, the rule is hold the binder, appear to be reading, which is really hard, because guess what happens? You memorize that speech anyway over time. And so you'll see kids like this, they'll be going like this for like 30 seconds. And then the judge will say, you have to appear to be reading. Look down. Okay, find a dull part, and look down, and then look back up again. You know, it's really hard. So I hope you understand the interpretation. And now I have a demonstration for you from Matt May, and he will be doing humorous, oral. There's humorous and serious. I'm not going to do serious for you. You need Advil after the round. And some high school kids choose shock value pieces. You're like, stop, please. But we also have humorous, where anything goes, as long as it's published, is legal. Okay, so I'll let Matt May take a look. There's an introduction about what the theme is, and then they do the piece.
All right, is my audience ready? For most people, work is a very important part of life. They treat it with respect, and many are workaholics. But in The Food Repairman by George Meyer, we see how some people treat their jobs a little too seriously. Hello, Roy's Food Repair. Uh-huh. Eggs? Yeah, we'd fix them. Well, are they broken, or are they just cracked? Okay, well, that's good. Just bring them right in. Alrighty then, you're welcome. Oh, Miss Larkin, how are we today? Oh, pretty good. Oh, what do we have here?
Oh, take a look at this. Whether it was Michael or Jennifer, I don't know which, but they would both just deny it anyways. One of them just reached up on the counter and gouged out a handful of cake.
Oh boy.
It's for the St. Anne's bake sale, and frankly, I can't bring it in like this.
Well, I don't think it's going to be that big of a problem. What I'm going to do is I'll extract some cake from the center here and fill in the damaged area. The frosting, boy oh boy, they really gouged it. Well, what I'll do is I'll smooth it out. I think I have a can of frosting in the back that can add some color. I will go around the whole perimeter. It'll be fixed up for you, no problem.
Oh, Roy, really? How can I thank you? Look, you're a peach.
Oh, come on.
Well, do you think I can pick it up by 5?
How is 4 o'clock?
Oh, you kid.
Have a good day now, Miss Larkin. Hello, Roy. Hello, Ashid. What is it today?
Well, it's this piece of cinnamon toast. I'm carrying it into the TV room, and the next thing I know, it's on the carpet, buttery side down, and now it has all kinds of lint and stuff on it.
Listen, don't worry about it. I will tell you how I'm going to fix it. First, I'm going to dip it in some liquid nitrogen and freeze it solid. Then I'm going to take it out back and sandblast it. Just about a millimeter or so, get all the debris off for you. Then I'll thaw it out underneath the heat lamp. I'd say I can have it for you by 4 o'clock.
That would be great. Thank you so very much. You are a lifesaver, Roy.
Have a good day, Rashid.
What are we going to do with this here turkey? Oh, whoa! What is that? Oh, this is the one that, remember Ray Gaddis? He had it for Thanksgiving and decides, I don't want turkey, I want ham.
Oh, I remember that.
You had to put it all back together again. Well, it's past 30 days now, throw it out. Oh, well, I don't think he's gonna like it, though.
Well, you tell Ray Gaddis that if he has a complaint, he comes and sees me. I am tired of this. He has done this for the last 4 Thanksgivings in a row.
Don't you yell at me.
I am not yelling at you. I am yelling at Ray Gaddis.
Don't yell at all.
That guy has a lot of nerve.
Hello.
Can I help you?
Well, I sure hope so. See, I bought this bag of pretzels now, and we are out on a boat, and I don't know if it's from the vibrations from the engine or whatever, but it has dislodged all of the salt off the pretzels, and it has accumulated at the bottom of the bag.
Oh. It's all down there, all right.
So I mean, we're pretty much a salt of our pretzel family, and I'm just hoping your expertise can bail me out.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I would go buy another bag of pretzels. Oh, no. Look, I'll tell you. You see these pretzels? They're made by machines, and machines put on the salt. Now, I could do the work, but it's by hand. It's 1 grain of salt at a time. Now, that's man-hours. That is a lot of man-hours, even if I gave you a really good deal.
How much would it be if you just did it?
Top of my head, $90, maybe $80.
Oh, wow, that is steep.
I don't know. That's a lot of work in there.
It was only $1.09.
That's what I'm saying,
Okay, yeah, I guess I see a point.
I'm really sorry. You take care now. Good luck with those. Nice guy. Nice guy. I like him. Roy's Food Repair. What?
Sushi? Nope, sorry. We don't do Japanese food here. No, but if you take that back to the plant, I'm sure they'll fix it right up for you. Alrighty, bye-bye.
Oh. Looks like we have a problem here.
Yep, I suppose I do. I stuck this here beer in the freezer so it would get colder faster. And then I forgot all about it. Now I'm afraid it's going to explode or something.
Okay, we are going to need a beverage repairman for this.
Really? Would there be one in this here town?
Yeah, there's 3 of them, but I know at least 2 are closed on Sunday.
Helen, is C&G open today? It's wide open.
C&G Cola Repair.
Yeah, I think so.
All right, you want to go 3 blocks down the road, take a left, and you'll see a great big sign. You can't miss it.
Wait a minute. You said cola repair. This is beer.
Nah, they'll do beer too. They need the money.
Thanks. Thanks a lot.
Have a good day. Hello, girls. How are we today?
Good. All right.
I am looking pretty today.
Do you fix Mexican food here?
We sure do. What do you got?
Well, all right. We were going to make tacos for our boyfriends. Then the guy at the supermarket put the tomatoes on top of the taco shelf, and now they're all broken.
Oh, those guys. They don't train them anymore. All right, let's take a look at this. Oh, this should be no problem at all. See, I can handle this. There's just a couple pieces here and there, and And this. What do you have on here? Oh, well. You have masking tape on this. You put masking tape on this! Well, first we tried to fix them ourselves. You tried to fix them yourselves. Well, let me give you a little piece of advice. Next time you bring something into this shop, leave it to the experts. You're gonna hurt yourselves. You don't have any tools. You don't have any experience. You're not trained. We're sorry. Yeah, we're really sorry. I'm sorry too. Let me see those smiles. Come on, let me see them. There they are, $1 million smiles. I can have these for you at noon. I'm sorry about the yelling. It's been a rough day. Thank you so much. Yeah, thanks a bunch. Have a good day. I'll get it, Roy. Oh, thanks. Oh, man, what a day. Yellow. What? Oh, my God. Yeah, I'll tell him. What is it? Tell me what. What is it? Roy, that was the sheriff. A Stouffer's truck just jackknifed on Route 22. They got frozen dinners all over the highway. All right, don't panic. Don't panic. You go warm up the car. I'll get all of my equipment. Come on, let's go. Don't freeze on me, honey. Don't freeze. Thank you.
He took second in state, I'll never know. He was awesome. And again, they're both juniors and sophomores, so they'll be back next year. We are looking. I like our team. We have 25 more kids that are very similar to that in different events, as well as we have a very fine debate group. So notice he didn't move his feet. He did everything else, but those feet were stationary on the floor. He didn't use his hands as a gesture. You could move around like this, and sometimes it gets kind of subjective. Some judges might say, hey, a little bit too much movement. Some others are like fine with it. And we try and legislate that at our coaches' meetings in the spring. That's like trying to catch mercury. Trying to legislate movement. What is excessive movement? It's all relative. So we play within the rules. If we ever see things on the comment sheets, then we obviously make those adjustments. So do you have any questions for me? My time is just about expired here. Yes?
Do the kids do multiple different kinds of...
No, pretty much they do the one event for the year. The way that's set up now, in some of the schools they have double entering, but it really causes havoc. It wreaks a lot of havoc when you put on a tournament. You have to have kids set up for different speaking orders, different events. And I don't think it's fair to my kids who don't do it, because then I just don't like it. But in some states, the terms go over 3 or 4 days, which is a lot of time. No, and the hard part is inserting the right kid in the right event. And I think Matt or Sam or Elizabeth could easily do some of the other events very, very well as well. And that becomes very difficult, because when I have 45 kids on my team and I need to cut to 30 for divisionals, I've got to decide who my top 3 are. And usually the scores will do that for me. But sometimes it's again very subjective. You have to make a tough decision. And any other team, those kids would be competing in divisionals. They would, and they'd probably make it to state. But it's a nice problem to have. But anyway, well, thank you so much for your time.
Representatives, and so we're going to do a little bit of moving stuff here. So
do we need a table up there?
I think, yeah, we probably are these chairs up here for them. Would you guys? So if anyone has to run and get a break or anything, go really quickly, and we'll be ready.
I like the teenage girl with brushes.
Oh, good. I don't think I could have done that.
So, Autumn, were they talking about filling those out? I missed it. I don't know. Okay. I don't know if somebody said something that we're supposed to have it, or these. Yeah, they just fill them out. What's the date? Speaking of that, I don't even live in Missoula. How is that coming from Missoula? No, I don't really want to go to Missoula. I started in very cool last year. You did? Yes. You can make like $5 an hour. answer in it like I'll never be actually put on a jury because my opinions are way. But I would get called for every single one, and I'd get dismissed, and then I'd get called for the next one, and I'd get dismissed. Do you have to go to the courthouse and I feel like, I'd be like, hey, I know him. How's it going? You're crazy.
We can wait. Yep. Okay. Hold on to the back.
I don't know if you can even access it. Apparently all the stores and buildings were connected.
Yeah.
They must have those tunnels still. Maybe they're blocked off. Oh, really?
I can go last. I'm cool.
Okay, yeah, who wants to go first? Jane wants to. Okay. I was going to say in the order of backwards order. So they have had this experience too. So I think that's really great that they kind of understand how this works and that they have a feel for what you guys need to know and want to know and how important this is. What we're gonna do is have each of them give kind of a 15-minute talk about maybe themselves, a little bit about their institution. I want to call it facility. We'll stay away from the institution. And then we'll open it up to some general questions. So if you have questions, you can write down some notes, and we'll try to do those all, at one time. And if there's things that you'd like to hear them talk to each other about too, I think that would be a really good point to see how they interact with each other. So first, I'll introduce everyone, and then we'll start with one at a time. And first of all, we'll have Jane Bennett. She's with Willard Alternative School, high school, here in town. Let's see, proud member of Leadership Missoula 23. So next we'll have Jody Rasmussen from the Lifelong Learning Center, also known as Dickinson or Emma Dickinson, or it's had some different names over the years. And then Very Good with the College of Technology will be following up. So kind of interested to hear what everyone thinks and how these three groups interact with each other, and keep in mind some good questions. And we have some backups just in case. So. And at the end, we'll
my
keeping
job is to make sure that they only take their 15 minutes each. And it's, this week. Right. It's always a problem.
Not for me.
Well, I hate to see it. Go ahead.
Okay.
You're ready.
Take my script, plant my feet. Try not to move.
That was great.
I wish, actually, I do wish, I had taken a class or an activity like that in high school. I think I would be more effective in my job now if I were better at what I'm about to stumble through. So those kids are terrific. Yeah, they're very impressive. Very impressive. Tough act to follow. Well, for most people, when they are growing up in America, high school works just fine. It worked great for me. I loved almost everything about high school. I liked the classes, the teachers, the activities, the prom. I liked the whole thing. But for 20% of American children, high school as it exists in America, and you've all been to high school, so you know what it's like, and maybe even for some of you, high school didn't work very well, or you had your ups and downs when you were maybe thinking about, oh, I can't do this another day. Well, for about 20% of the teenagers in America right now, high schools as they exist don't work very well. Now, I see that my colleague, Tom Blakely, is sitting here, so I can't really trash those big comprehensive high schools.
I'm sure you can.
Actually, this is my true opinion. I think Sentinel's a great high school. Tom does a terrific job, and they serve the needs of almost all of their students, but not 100%. And I think, Tom, you probably saying that's right?
Yep, I would, I agree completely.
For some of his students, Sentinel High School is a round hole and they are a square peg. And it just doesn't work very well for them. And it happens all across America. So many communities, even other communities in Montana actually have alternative high school programs. Willard is not an alternative high school, period. We are not a standalone high school. We are a program of the other 3 high schools. So that's sort of an important distinction to keep in mind, that we are like their business department. We are like their football program. We are an educational program of Sentinel High School and the other 2 big schools in Missoula. Willard existed in its very formative days. This is long before I hit the scene. I've only been at Willard. This is my 2nd year, so I haven't been there long, and didn't have alternative high school background before that. The kids have gotten kind of into my heart, so it's satisfying work, and I'm happy to tell you about it a little bit. Willard, as it currently exists in the Francis E. Willard Elementary School building on 6th Street, opened its doors in 1991. Any of you go to elementary school at Willard back in the day when it wasn't elementary? Well, there's a famous citizen in Missoula who did go to elementary school there, and that is Mayor John Incan. He formerly went to Willard when it was an elementary school. And it's almost 100 years old, and back at that time the district hired one architect who designed a blueprint, and they built that blueprint in 3 locations in Missoula. So there is Willard, there is Whittier, and there is the former Paxton Elementary School. Same school exactly. We are trying to make high school size kids fit in an elementary size outfitted school. And it works pretty well, but we don't have a gymnasium. We have a small weight room. We don't have an auditorium. We don't have a wood shop. We don't have any kind of music rooms. We don't have lots of the facilities that the bigger high schools are able to have. We have about 12, 13, 14 classrooms and a little tiny cafeteria. And we make it work really well because we're alternative and we don't really care about that stuff. It's amazing. So you wonder if Willard is an alternative school or if the students in Willard are alternative kinds of kids. And the answer is actually both. Willard is set up as a 3-semester program. We call them trimesters. The bigger schools have 2 semesters, 36-week school year. The bigger schools have 2 18-week semesters, and the kids get credit in the semester setup, and they eventually get to graduation. Well, a lot of students come to Willard credit deficient. That is, they didn't have a lot of success before they came to the alternative program. So we structure our school into 3 12-week trimesters because it's a way for our students to accrue and make up credits faster than they could in a semester system. So we're alternative in that way. We're also small, very small. We're designed to have about 150 students. And although kids come in and go out as they finish the requirements for the diploma, we always are right around 150 students. So our class sizes are about 12, 13, 14 generally, and that's really effective for kids who need a lot of one-on-one personalized attention. Also, a lot of people are under the misconception that Willard is a school for discipline problems, that you get sent to Willard. And that's absolutely not true. That is not true. Willard is a pure school of choice. You as a student have to fill out an application and apply to be part of that alternative program. And in order to be accepted, you have to demonstrate a number of at-risk factors in your own personal background, and you have to make some statements that let us know how serious you are going to be committed to coming to school, to doing the work, and to being a good citizen and respectful of what we're trying to do there. So kids, because they choose the program, buy into academics, attendance, and behavior. It's kind of a miracle, because they did not have good academics, attendance, or citizenship, generally, in those bigger schools. But because they've chosen to buy into what we do, it works actually pretty well. The first period teacher serves as sort of an anchor teacher, monitors those 12, 13 kids in that period very closely, calls home, is in constant daily contact with that student about academic progress, attendance, and behavior. And we beat on those themes just relentlessly. We don't have a lot of electives. We're not set up for electives, but we do have all the meat and potatoes to have students accrue the credits that they need to get a diploma from their home-based school. Our Willard students who live in the Sentinel attendance area get a diploma when they finish from Sentinel. It's kind of a cool system. They get to rejoin their classmates and wear the cap and gown, and it's a pretty neat thing. We, as a staff, meet weekly, full staff, and we discuss the progress of every single student in the school. All 150 kids. We review as a full staff every single week. It takes a lot of time, and we always go longer than the contract day, but the teachers stay and do it all the way down to the Z part of the alphabet. We have frequent meetings with parents and students and teachers, and it's amazing how the parents who are very reluctant to come in because they've had generally many unhappy experiences in schools. And when they come to our school and have their child's teachers tell them all the good things and strengths that we see in their child, oh my goodness, it makes a huge, huge difference for them, and their relationship with their child changes. So that part of being small is pretty cool. We have intensive, we're making intensive efforts right now in all of the core skills that any person needs in any century. Reading, writing, math, citizenship, and all of those maybe old-fashioned skills that students need in order to add on to the 21st century skills that are emerging as needs for students in the age at which they live. So we work really hard on collaboration, creativity, critical thinking, as well as the basic 3 R's, reading, writing, arithmetic. We also help our students be reflective about their own self, their own behavior, their own choices, and we try to do things that build resilience. Because for a lot of our students, life has dealt them a really bad hand. And if we didn't help them bounce back from some of that misery that is a lot of times not of their own making, then boy, they would really be sunk. We use a contract system, and I know I'm going to run out of time, so I'm not going to elaborate on that. But
I'm not signaling you quite yet.
I know, but you
got like 2 more minutes.
When you make a contract with a student, like we do, it is a compact. It's a covenant. It is something that we expect them to meet the requirements of that contract, and they generally do. And some of them are always on the hairy edge of washing out of the program. But mostly the contract system works really well. All right, we are this year initiating a program to help our students have higher aspirations for their own future so that their family, their future family, their own family and children someday will have a better life than some of them have had. So we are trying to provide the conditions that promote student aspirations about the future. And by conditions, I'm talking about relationships with the teachers, having heroes, having a sense of accomplishment, which some of them have never had in schools, or at least not in their teen years. having fun and excitement and leadership opportunities, and helping them get the confidence to take action on their own behalf. And we just believe, and we're trying to get our students to believe, that if you have aspirations for the future, you will work harder in the present to make that future happen. And as good leaders, you all know you got to have that vision thing, and you have it for your companies, and you also have it for yourselves. And we try to help our students learn to do that. Most of our students are really very bright. There probably is a stereotype out there that Willard students are not quality students. They tend to have some gaps in their knowledge and skill set because they missed a lot of school, or they didn't really engage with it. But up here, where it counts, oh my God, some of those kids are really very sharp kids. In conjunction with that, we have a special project going on right now that I will mention because Very Good is right here. I can give them the kudos. We have a special program going right now where Willard seniors who have finished the requirements for the high school diploma are enrolled in the freshman writing course at the COT. And Barry has just rolled out the red carpet for those kids and made them feel like they are the most important people in the world. And it's a fun day to bring them over here when they become college students in the middle of their senior year in high school. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. All the kudos. In fact, here's a true story. One of our students needed to take the writing assessment test that's required to get into freshman writing, and she doesn't have 2 dimes to rub together. I didn't bring any money with me, and we needed $15 for her to pay the fee to take the writing test. So Barry went into his own pocket, pulled out 20, said, "Take the test." True story. Yeah. Yay. Yeah. So how's that program going? Well, we started it last year. All but one student passed. Are you starting to edge closer to me?
Getting closer to you.
Okay.
Communication clue.
And so far in this current semester, they're all doing pretty well. Credit recovery is a big part of what we do, and we have a variety of ways that we do that, and you'll just have to use your imagination on what some of those ways might be. We try to increase a student voice. A lot of our students come to us now. I have to turn up the pace, the number of words permitted. They come to Willard not having felt like they belonged in the bigger schools. There are just so many kids in those schools that the kind of students who come to Willard feel a little bit lost in the shuffle sometimes. So we try to provide opportunities for those students to have a voice that they've never had in their high school experience. So we have a student senate, and they do all kinds of projects in the school. They have leadership opportunities. We started this year, and you might have read about this in Missoulian. We started a student newspaper. I brought a copy of it for you all to take a look at if you want to afterwards. I will point out, because I know you're all business-related people, that there are advertising opportunities in this high school newspaper, and we have no funding from the school district to run this, unlike Tom's school, where they're just flush and rich. So if you want to put an ad in a school newspaper, you might want to think about the Willard Wire, an alternative voice. And I would just mention, if you just give me 1 minute.
I'll call 1 minute.
Okay. Sometimes life happens to our students, and a lot of them are poor. Many of them come from very dysfunctional families. Their parents are a mess. There's drug addiction, alcoholism, child abuse and neglect, mental health, and problems that are not our students' fault. They are the victims of adult misbehaviors. They are the victims. And so, in a lot of ways, our school is their savior, truly. And I believe that. One thing that they need more than anything else, besides what we give them, are jobs. Our kids are poor. They have no food. We have a food pantry so that they can take food home with them on the weekend. so they can eat when they're not at school. And that is a true story for a lot of our kids. They would like to have a job. They want a job. Would they be a good employee for you? After a while, they probably would. They would need mentorship, patience. They would need education on how to be an employee, and they would need a paycheck. So if you are inclined at all to become a social working business person, take my business card and let me know if you could find a spot in your company for a student to come in and do some kind of paid work, paid internship, or opportunity for them to learn how to be a good employee through hands-on experience outside our school. And I would say that Leadership Missoula, I know what it's like. It can be sometimes feel like having another full-time job to fit this into your busy calendar, but I know for myself that Leadership Missoula 23 was a terrific experience, and I can tell by looking at you that you look just exactly like our class. Except I wonder if you have as much fun. You know Kelly Durbin? And you know Kelly Durbin? Yeah. Well, Kelly was in Leadership Missoula 23, and she's like a one-man fun machine. So, thanks for the opportunity. And,
we'll have some time.
If you have questions, I'm happy to.
And I would just tag on to Jane as well to keep in mind that children who become successful have adults in their life who help them succeed. And next I'd like to introduce Jody Rasmussen from the Lifelong Learning Center.
Hi. I'm from the Lifelong Learning Center. I'm formerly known as Dickinson, formerly known as Adult Ed. I don't know if you've heard of any of those. We are also operating for primarily adults, 16 years and older, in an elementary school building. If you walk through some of our halls, we still have the little drinking fountains. It's really fun to watch the adults trying to. We could change them, but it provides some humor for our front office staff. We were founded in 1957, and Barry might know a little bit of the story, but it was before our time. We used to actually be part of what was known as the VOTEC before they were the College of Technology. Somewhere along the line, the funding got split, and the funding for adult education went with Missoula County Public Schools, and then the funding for higher ed went with the VOTEC College of Technology. So we have a bunch of different funding bases, but we have a permissive mill levy for adult education, which restricts us to only serving people who are 16 years and older. So for all of our programs, with the exception of one, we serve people 16 years and older, all the way up to 92, however old. And our Tai Chi instructor is 93. So they have a really, truly lifelong learning in that capacity. It started because there was 20 journeyman carpenters that needed to learn how to weld. That's when it started in 1957. Last year we had almost 15,000 registrants. The reason we changed our name to the Lifelong Learning Center instead of Dickens, we actually used to be at Willard. People still show up at Willard looking for us, and we moved a long time ago. So. Because we actually operate in over 20 different schools. The capacity at our school is fairly limited. Parking is really limited. So we are at almost all the high schools. We're at different grade schools. We're just about everywhere. And so we figured before we moved buildings again and people kept showing up at Dickinson, we just say, okay, we're the Lifelong Learning Center and we operate in this capacity. Programs. We have a lot of different programs. One of them is called the Adult Basic Education Program. I don't know who names these. I think they're named after funding. But that program it grows every year. It helps, it's a free program. There's state, local, and federal money to fund that. It helps kids, again, or adults 16 and older, work on basic reading, writing, and math skills. So what we see is kids who are 16 they have to be withdrawn from school to access our adult basic education program. So for whatever reason, they weren't able to make it through school, or they weren't able to get into Willard, and they've decided that perhaps getting a GED is a choice for them. So they will enroll in our programs after they're withdrawn from high school. We help them do the prep if they want to get into, usually to take their GED, and oftentimes they'll stay with us and just keep prepping to go to college technology and continue on in their career journey. We also help a lot of people in that program, we're seeing a lot of people with the economy come back to school who had worked their whole lives and never had a high school diploma. So we're seeing people come in trying to get their GEDs. People come in just because they can't help their kids with their math homework. So they want to brush up on math. We do a lot of prep for college. We do apprenticeships. There's some math requirements and a lot of apprenticeships, so people will come in and brush up on their math skills. Businesses will send their employees to just because they need better writing skills. So completely free, that's the focus of that program. We have an Even Start program, and that's the only program that actually will serve people under 16. It's a family literacy program, and Jane touched a little bit about some of the families that we serve, and this is a program that helps address the whole family. The children are in an early literacy program. We provide intensive parenting and parent and child time together so that they can learn to interact with their children in a positive way and reinforce that early literacy skills. What we're trying to do, and the parents are usually in the adult basic education classes also trying to get their GED or English language skills, EL civics classes, something like that. So we're trying to break the cycle from the kids to the parents around poverty and early literacy. So that's been a great program. We have a night high school program, which does recovery credit also. So kids that are enrolled in Sentinel or Big Sky, if they've failed an English or social studies class, they can come to our program and go to night high school and try to make up some of that credit, and then they get a diploma from whatever their high school is. The credit just goes back. So it's recovery credit primarily. And then we do GED testing. We GED test about 22 times a year. 270 people took the GED test last year, and 87% of them passed, which is a good ratio. It's one of the highest in the state. People take their GED for a lot of reasons. If they were homeschooled, they need to take their GED to go to college or something because they're not accredited, or if they're not in an accredited high school, or if they just have left the public school system or other school system, they'll come and get their GED. What most people don't know is the GED is normed so only 75% of high school seniors can pass it. It's not an easy test. It's 8 hours long. I'm an examiner. So there's a misnomer that I want you guys to really think about if you're hiring someone who has a GED. They have equivalent skills to high school people. It's a hard test. There's kind of a stigma around GED. They've really tried, and they've got the same equivalent skills. Sometimes they were just home skilled, sometimes something else worked out. But we see a lot of kids who have come in and got their GED and been very successful in college and just moved on. So keep that in mind as people are coming in with GEDs. They have parenting classes, both in the grade schools and in our building. Lots of different things. We have some parent-child cooking classes. Then we just have some on discipline and some things like that. So all sorts of those. We do a lot of workforce development, so we work with businesses. They either want some classes in our existing catalog. We offer over 300 classes a quarter, except for the summer quarter. Or they'll come to us and say, you know, we're not getting enough applicants with these skills. Can you offer a class on how to do customer service over the phone? So we just develop a class for them, and we either do it with existing employees or we work with the job service, and they'll often pay for people to come for the class or sponsor the class because it will help them lead to employment. We offer certificate programs, which are usually a little bit longer programs, like CNA, EMT. We have a national CPC medical coding program, accounting and computerized bookkeeping, phlebotomy, dental assisting. So these are definitely certificates that we work with the job service and we work with businesses to determine what the need is so that we can get people through these short-term training programs and out into the workforce. And then most of what you know about is probably, if you know about it, is what we consider our fee-based classes. I mean, we have classes from everything from art to yoga to cooking to welding. I mean, we have just about any class that you could think of or might want. And that's the whole purpose of it. Those classes are set up, they're completely market-driven. If someone wants a class, we try to put together a class. They're set up on a break-even basis. We try to find an instructor. We pay our instructors $25 an hour, and then we set the cost of those classes at just enough to pay for the instructor. So we try to keep them very affordable so people can access them. Then we set a minimum number of students that we have to get to break even on it, and we shoot it out there. So those are the fun classes that really, I think, helps instill the lifelong learning philosophy. They're coming in, people take classes over and over again. If you look at some of them, they got art, they've got Zumba, it's just fun. And the new catalog goes out March 2nd, and it's just amazing to me, because I haven't actually got it done yet, I have to finish it today. People call, we get like 20 calls a day, when's the new catalog, when's the new catalog? And they're just so excited about seeing what new classes we might have. So that's the funnest part of our job, is doing those. We partner with a lot of people, both with Barry trying to get kids or adults who are trying to go back to college. We work with all the Smurfit-Stone people, all the Stimson people, because they've been in a job for a very long time, and some have had college degrees, some of them had barely finished high school or didn't finish high school, but they needed refreshers. They needed to kind of get back up to speed so they could go on to college or some other workforce training program. So we do a lot of retraining through the job service and working with the College of Technology. We also have some other really cool partnerships. We have one with Home Resources that started a little while ago. We're doing classes in their facility, and they're arranging those, and those have just been phenomenal. They've got some kind of furniture building classes, and they use all their recycled materials, and then they offer the classes to show people how to do that. We partner with schools that are not part of Missoula County Public Schools, Frenchtown, Target Range, Hogan Elementary, just so we can get more classes out there to more people in a more convenient way. So always looking to partner with new people or develop new programs or classes that people might want or need. So it's really easier for us to put together a class. So if anyone has any or needs any or has a good idea, or more importantly, if you want to instruct with us, we are always looking for great instructors. It's a great way to communicate and connect with students in the community, and it's just really fun. Our instructors, I mean, our pay is not great when they do it because they just really like being around people and sharing. It may not even be what you do for a business. It may be your hobby, but you just have a passion about cake decorating or whatever it is you do. You don't have to be certified in it to teach a class. You just have to have a passion for teaching and a knowledge of the subject area that you want to teach it. So.
Are you at a good stopping point?
It is a good stopping point.
I should send
There you go.
That,
you did.
My ingredient already. Good. Thank you very much, Jody. And next we have Very Good from the College of Technology. Jane got a little bit of his time because she just kept giving kudos. That's good. So, and we have actually until 3 o'clock, yes? So take your time, and then we'll have some time afterwards for questions and answers.
I'm just going to say, now I'm reading here what was given to me, was emailed to me. It says something like, in this panel gives you an opportunity to showcase the school you are representing. You have about 15 minutes to introduce yourself and your background and give an overview of your school. That's what I know. Okay. So usually I don't do this, but it did say when I got the email, real quickly, 1 minute, because you don't want to hear about me, but I will tell you just 1 minute about myself. As you can tell, I just listened to my accent. I was not born in Missoula, Montana. Okay. So, just real quickly, I was born in New York City. High schools and everything. The high school I went to, just real quickly, had over about 9,300 boys. It was an all-boys high school. It was a public school. 9,300 boys from 9th grade to 12th grade, and it was really interesting. The testosterone level was really high, okay? Give you some of my high school experience. So we got 9,000 guys. I walk in there, and I walk to a homeroom, and I have a card. This is amazing. And it says, you need a report here, and I did. And I walk in, and there's this room, and it's filled with guys, and there's about 35 or 40 guys in there. And the homeroom teacher tells me, you don't belong here. I said, okay, where should I go? And he said to me, I'll never forget, this is a long time ago, folks. He said to me, I don't care where you go, just get out of here. I said, well, where should I go? He said, just get out of here. I don't care where you go. So I left the room, and I wandered around the high school, and I went down into the basement. I saw all the shops and everything. And then I went into this room. There were a bunch of guys there. They were literally playing cards, okay, pitching pennies. You know what pitching pennies is? Okay. I walk in, and I don't know, I sit down. And someone gets up there, this teacher, and says, who are you? And I tell him, and he says, do you belong here? I said, yeah, I guess so. They told me to get out of here, so I went here. So he said, well, it's okay, you know. And so I sat down. I was in that room for over 7 months. Okay, I went to the classes I wanted. If I wanted to cut school, I did, but I didn't because I was also on the wrestling team. But for 7 months, they had no idea where I was in that high school. And I was lost. And after 7 months, they grabbed me and they say, where? Then they finally found out. And they go, where were you? And they started checking my classes. I was attending. But see, the problem was they really didn't care about me. What they cared about is I wasn't signing into homeroom, so I was always being marked absent. And if I'm being marked absent, they weren't getting money from me, see? So this was my high school experience. Interesting stuff, okay? Okay, enough of that. First, I'm the Dean of the College of Technology. It is a privilege, and I repeat that, it is a privilege for me to serve as the Dean of the College of Technology. My background, I have a doctoral degree in plant sciences with an emphasis in cell and molecular biology. My first academic appointment in 1978 was at Loyola University. From Loyola University, I went to the University of Arkansas. University of Arkansas, I'm not going to go into the detail. I'll be glad to share this with you later if you want. Went to my first 2-year college in 1990. Okay, it was in North Carolina, Gaston College. 2-year college, community college. I've been in the 2-year education business for approximately 20 years. My wife, Kathy, I have dragged around the country, really, and my 2 children, it's almost as bad as the military. They call them academic gypsies. I'm talking about North Carolina, Texas, Arkansas, Louisiana. Just before we came here, we were in West Virginia, okay? West Virginia, packed up the wagon, loaded up the gear, and went 2,000 miles west to Missoula. My wife absolutely loves it here. She told me we're never moving again. This is the truth. This is the truth. She is from New Orleans. She fell in love with the mountains. Absolutely fell in love with the mountains. So did I. So I really intend to stay here. So that's enough about me, okay? Right? Who cares? What about the College of Technology? See, this is where it comes. And you know, it's fun. I can't even read my own writing. And if you think I'm kidding, can you read this, Joey? I can. So, I'm going to try. Where to start, okay? Okay. We are the University of Montana College of Technology. And notice I say University of Montana College of Technology. I'm closing in on 5 years here, okay? My 5th year, closing in on 5 years. And it's really interesting to find out what's really out in the community and the perceptions of who we are and what we do at the College of Technology. So first, as I've heard, we are not just somehow affiliated with the university, you know, with some stick-on campus or something, or I don't know, you know. Again, we are the University of Montana. We are a college or a school like any other college or university of Montana, such as the School of Business, the School of Journalism, College of Arts and Sciences. It doesn't matter. We are the College of Technology. We're the 2-year unit. As other deans in the college, in the university, I report to the provost. I sit on the Dean's Council, all of this stuff, okay? Again, it's important because there's a perception and an image thing that I picked up on here when I came here almost 5 years ago. We are the university, okay? We're the 2-year unit. We are the 2-year college of this university. What do we do? That's an interesting question. What do we do? You know, I can go into some of the history real quickly if you want. Some of you know this history, as was started to be alluded to by Jody, okay? In 1968, in Montana, the legislature said in their wisdom, we're going to make vocational technical institutes. And they erected one, the Missoula Vocational Technical Center, I believe is the correct name, in 1968. That's our roots. That's our roots. We were the VOTEC, right? In fact, many people still call us and refer to us. Who are they? They're the VOTEC, right? Wrong. But that's our roots, okay? So, from 1968 to about 1987 and 1988, and I still haven't gotten the right date, but right in there, the Montana legislature, in their wisdom, said all these vocational technical centers now will come out of the high school, out of public education, and they will go into higher education, and we became part of the Montana University system. In 1994, we officially became part of the University of Montana. 1994, okay? Long time ago, 16, 17 years ago. So, with that, we came in and we were the VOTEC. And we really were the VOTEC. What we did really was offer, and by the way, we still do, and we do a great job of that, because that's our history, those are our roots. We offer vocational technical programs, and we do a great job, okay? But we have evolved since 1994. We really have. And what we have become, really have become, service-wise, using the parlance that is used in the state of Montana, we have become a comprehensive community college, or service-wise, a comprehensive two-year college. Well, what does that mean? What's a comprehensive two-year college? First, to give you an idea of what we do four main things, okay? Four main things. First, what do? We are responsible, or we offer transfer education. That means our students can come to us, take the first 2 years of college with us, and they can take those courses in a transfer program. And they can take those courses and they can transfer it to MSU, they can transfer it to the University of Montana, they can transfer it anywhere in the nation. We are accredited. We are an accredited college of the University of Montana. So that's one thing we do, transfer education. Unbelievable. Many people don't understand that, but we do, and more people are starting to understand that. Okay, career-oriented. We have career programs. As I said, this is our roots. We do a great job. We offer everything from the industrial technologies, which most people will relate to us by, welding, right? Heavy equipment operation, carpentry, right? But we also have nursing. We have the health professions. We have surge tech, rad tech, respiratory care. You see, it doesn't matter to me as a dean whether you're talking about a welding program or a nursing program. What's different there are the disciplines. That's it. They are career-oriented to give a person different skills where they can go out and get meaningful employment in approximately 2 years. That's what it's all about. We're talking about awarding Associate of Applied Science degrees, which are 2-year degrees, or academic certificates of applied science, which are 1-year academic certificates in certain programs. That's what we do. Number 3, what does a comprehensive 2-year college do? We have been charged by the Board of Regents to be responsible for all developmental education of this university, our university. That means people who come to us and are not ready for a quote-unquote a college work or a college-level course, we have courses that prepare them for that, and they're called developmental courses. We have 3 levels of developmental math. We have 1 level of developmental writing. To give you an idea of how many students the university, I just didn't say the College of Technology, last year in our developmental courses, we have had over 1,700 students in a year. 1,700 students were not prepared either in math, writing, or in both, okay? Approximately 50% of those students were College of Technology students. Guess where the other 50% came from? The mountain campus, okay? What we call the mountain campus. 50% taking our developmental courses. We're charged with doing it. Fourth thing that a comprehensive 2-year college does, and this is our middle name, partnerships. We will partner with anybody. I'm telling you. I guarantee it. You give us half a chance, we're there. But who do we partner with? Well, we partner with this whole community. We partner with business. We partner with different industries. We partner with school districts, with public education, on and on. Jane alluded to one. We're working with Willard High School, right? That's a partnership. We have Willard High School students right now taking, if you will, college credit courses, okay? It's a partnership. It's a pilot program. We have dual credit, which I'm really proud of. Dual credit for high school students, where high school students can take our course while they're in high school and get both credit for college and high school at the same time. That's a big boom for a lot of students. We're doing it in at least 2 different maths, at least in 1 different writing. We have over 300 students right now in our program. The majority are from all high schools in Missoula. We also have them from Hamilton High School. We have them from Ali High School. Believe it or not, and I want to go out there because I really want to see this, we have one in Big Sky, Montana, actually, we're partnering with. I want to see the ski resort. Haven't been there yet, okay? 300, what does this mean? This means savings for people. This is big stuff for parents. First of all, and it was mandated by the legislature, our tuition is less than the mountain campus. All 2-year colleges in the state of Montana have a lower tuition. That means if it costs for a year, and I just take this figure off the top of my head, something like, I don't know, $3,000 to go to here for a year. If you went to the mountain campus, it would cost you $6,000. Big difference. Supposing you can get your maths and your writings and everything else in Wall High School, and remember, this is a transfer course. We are the University of Montana. It's on the transcript, right? That's it. It's done. There is no AP courses where you have to take a test and get something between 3 and 5 at some level. That's it. You're successful with the course. What happens? You're transcripted right there, University of Montana. That's a big thing we're doing, okay? That wasn't here 5 years ago, okay? With the leadership of our XOs, of Alex Apostle, okay? Really, this really has taken off. This is a great thing. Partnerships, right? Partner with business industry, partner with an engineering group. Some of you might know, Brent Campbell. We had an advisory meeting, said, you know what? We need a CAD program. Actually, we need an engineering technology program. We responded. We started a CAD program. Partnerships, business, partnerships, industry. As Jody was alluding to, when Stimson Lumber closed and Smurfit Stone closed, we're part of a rapid response team, Lifelong Learning Center, job service with Wolf. What happens, all of us go into action, and what happens ultimately, what we try and do is take dislocated workers who are getting TAA assistance and take them in our programs. When Stimson closed, we took over 70 dislocated workers. When Smurfit Stone closed, we have over 80 dislocated workers in our programs right now, okay? This is stuff we do. Do a lot of good stuff, okay? So, do I have time, or is it over? Oh, I don't know.
You left me breathless.
So what's important, you see, and I'm going to leave this with a question and answer period, okay? So I really am, but, you know, some of the things with our history here, and I want to tell you what I encountered, okay? From all my 20 years of being in 2-year colleges through the nation, the community that those 2-year colleges were in, whether they were part of a university such as LSU, that's where I got my doctoral degree, and there was a 2-year college there as well, right, part of a university, or a standalone community college. What happened is those 2-year colleges were respected, they were well thought of, and the communities that had them were proud of them. This is ours. Bang, okay? And then I came to Missoula. And this is the truth. And that happened. And by the way, this is firsthand experience. This is not secondhand right now. Started talking to some of the high school counselors, okay? About 5 years ago. Well, what did I find out? This is really what I found out. I was surprised. Well, you know, you want to go talking to a high school student. You want to go to higher education, right? You bet. We're in high school in Missoula. Well, you can go to UM. That's good. You can go to MSU. That's good, too. You can go to Carroll College. You bet. But if you can't go to the university, or universities, I guess you can always go to that VOTEC out there. I don't know, whatever they do. You know, they put in a few, they nail a few hammers, put in a few screws, whatever they do out there. I guess you can always go out there. You see, what I found out in 5 years is that, when I first came here, is that we really, this was the perception. We were the VOTEC. No, truthfully, okay? We weren't on the radar screen of higher education. We were something else, and there's nothing wrong with offering vocational technical education. That's our roots, remember? That's one of the things a comprehensive college does, but we do so much more. The problem is, and there's a challenge, and I'm still facing the challenge, although it's changing, is that we're still not thought of as higher education, as a 2-year comprehensive college. Many people, at least my experience, okay, my experience, is that we're still the VOTEC. And there's nothing wrong with that, except there's baggage that goes along with that. And the baggage that goes along with that is, since you're the VOTEC, in quotes, you're second rate, you're second best, you're not as good as whatever. And that's the challenge, and that's what we're trying to dispel. And I don't know, did President Engstrom speak to you this morning? I'm not sure. Or Jim Foley. I will say this publicly, I'm really grateful to those guys, because they understand 2-year education. They value us, okay? And we're really starting to change where we need to be and change the perception of who we are, and what we do. It will not happen overnight. It's cultural. It's a cultural thing. It goes back to 1968. But we will change it in time. Thank you.
And you might have recognized this about me, I like to talk. So I would just add, a lot of the students that I know who are graduating from high school and going on do take courses at the College of Technology because it's less and they know they'll transfer to the university. So you're definitely making an impact on our community. This is the time we have now for you all to ask questions. If you don't, we will. Yes. So if you want to find out what you want to know, I would suggest you all ask some questions or make comments. Tom?
If you don't mind, I just want to add a couple perceptions about the 3 talks that we've had today. Dr. Good talks about perceptions, and he's absolutely right in terms of where we're at with all 3 of these campuses. A lot of you have heard about graduation matters and dropouts and all that. We can have a student leave my building and go to Willard and be successful. Go to the Lifelong Learning Center and get a GED and be successful. And go to the College of Technology and be successful, and yet still be reported in the paper as being a failure because of the way that we define certain things within our community. Every high school principal can tell you a story about a kid who's left our buildings and gone to Jane's and maybe not made it all the way through, ended up at the Lifelong Learning Center, got a GED, and then is now sitting over at the VOTEC taking classes and counted on our It's okay. You drilled it in. No. You see, it's a cultural thing. It's okay. It really is okay. That's what we need to change. The perception. That's what I'm. Okay. And it is, and you're absolutely right. It's all about perception. We have a kid that should have been at Sentinel with his peer group that's seniors right now. He's over here taking classes, being successful, getting good grades, and yet he's sitting on my list of dropouts just because of the way we define things. And we need to, as a community, we need to understand some of those definitions. The U.S. military won't take a high school dropout. But if you go to the Lifelong Learning Center, get a GED, come over here, get 15 credits, all of a sudden you're recruitable again. Okay? So there's paths back. We need to talk about pathways and into the beautiful thing about the American educational system is that you can leave whenever you want and you can go back whenever you want. And you can be successful at any point in your life, and yet our media continues to label a non-4-year completer in high school as a dropout and a failure. We have teachers in our building that were high school dropouts that are
educators at the high school level, have PhDs at the university that were high school dropouts. And we put a lot of stigma on that, and what we need, the perception needs to be is, well, you failed at this particular path, there's another one, and another one. Jane and I were in a meeting yesterday, and we're talking about creating alternative paths for kids who just don't fit the way that we have them. So if you can do anything for us as educators walking out of here, is to talk about those perceptions within your community on just what that word means. And is that kid necessarily a failure? Is the system a failure? Or is it just an opportunity for that kid to take a different route? Mary, I do have a question for you. What do you see as the biggest impediment to the concurrent enrollment or dual credit situation? Because we only have 2 classes right now. Jane's got the English one, so that's a total of 3.
2 math courses, yeah.
Yeah. And 150 of those, just to plug for Sentinel, 150 of the 300 that you're talking about are at Sentinel.
And they're probably, the math, they're probably taking pre-calculus and linear algebra and probability. That's what they're taking. Impediments. First, what we need to do on our side is that, and this is a change for us, okay, is we have to, at the COT, okay, at the College of Technology, we're not offering enough 100 and 200 level courses now ourselves. That's one, okay? We have to offer courses that a 2-year comprehensive college does, and that's generally all 100 and 200 level courses. We're talking about, which we don't right now, offer anthropology as an example, okay? I throw that out there, it doesn't, or sociology, okay? That's one impediment which we are working through with our university. Remember, we have perception, I was talking about perceptions out in the community. We also have some challenges within our own university. And again, I say that President Engstrom, you may have heard from Jim Foley, Provost Perry Brown. I really appreciate, I've been talking to them, and they really know what's happening here and support us, and they're helping to move us forward. But here's another impediment, right? Ready? What I think is one, and it may not be, okay, for everybody, is that most of our dual credit, dual enrollment right now is called what is concurrent enrollment. Concurrent enrollment, as defined, means that we have, quote unquote, high school faculty teaching our course who have the proper credentials, okay, and talk to our group, and they become our faculty affiliates, okay? That's what has happened. One of our instructors, or our instructors right now, and this is not just us, it's for all of Montana, if a college instructor was going to instruct a high school student, not for a college-only course, but for a dual credit course, that college professor, instructor, has to get a certain license. I don't know, and believe me, I'm not up, this is not my area, but it's a licensure 8 or something, and maybe Jane can, allude on that. But that means now for any college instructor, whether at the College of Technology or anywhere else, who is teaching, okay, a high school, at least one high school student in a dual credit program, they have to get this licensure, they have to get fingerprinted, okay? In my humble opinion, and others will disagree with me, you asked me about an impediment. I believe that is holding a lot of things back, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah, President Engstrom talked about the #1 priority of getting a new facility for the COT. How is that going to help with changing the perception?
Oh, yeah, okay. Yes, yeah, it will help. And here it is. Again, first, we absolutely need a new facility, okay? And right now, the official head count For this fall, and I know this, believe me, because I got it ingrained, 2,444, okay? Well, what does that mean? 2,444 students. In relation to what, okay? When I came here in about 2006, there was about 1,200 to 1,300 students. Compared to last fall, we had a 16% increase in enrollment. Compared to the fall before that, we had a 28% increase in enrollment, okay? So, we're bursting at the seams. We truly are. These facilities right here you're looking at, they were built in approximately, and my memory fails me sometimes, it was approximately 1968, okay? It was built for approximately 700 students, okay? And right now, I told you the number, we're over 2,000. The facilities, aside from space just being limited space-wise, they're not conducive to a higher learning environment. Do you see the trailers out there where you're able to see them? They're right in back of it. You can take a look, okay? Honestly, we have faculty officers there. We have nursing students as well as other health profession students taking classes in those trailers, okay? Trailer right out there, that's affectionately known as the math shack. Honestly, the math shack. Okay, so you look around, right? And you see that, we have, I don't know, I forgot, 6 trailers, okay? And we have our carpentry students building another trailer or modular, which should be over here in about a month and a half. And they're beginning another modular for a 2,400 square foot big modular, which held about 3 classrooms, okay?
Is that double wide?
Yeah. But seriously, I'll get it. Seriously, is there something wrong with that? Think about that, okay? Something's wrong with that. We are the University of Montana. We are a college just like any other college of the University of Montana. And this is what we got, okay? It's not about me, and it's not about my faculty. And by the way, we have excellent faculty, okay? We have an excellent staff here. They're dedicated to their students. That's what a 2-year college is, you know, it's all about, okay? But it's not about them. This is all about students. This is all about students. We are not providing the services we need to our students. We're not giving them the proper learning environment that they need to have, okay? We're not, as it stands now, meeting our mission as a 2-year comprehensive college. That's what it's all about. It's about students, okay? Lots of students, lots of students. And I really believe that more are coming. You know, some says, well, the reason you had this great influx of students is because of Smurfit Stone closed and Stimson closed and all of that. Well, yes, we did have some students from them, right? I told you we took about 70 from Stimson. We have over 80 from Smurfit Stone. And I can tell you some more, right? But off the top of my head, you know what? I am not going to do it off the top of my head because I'm telling you, I can't remember half this stuff. I wrote it down, okay? First of all, some interesting facts. 67% of our students are full-time. Wow. 67% of our students are taking 12 credit hours or more a semester. Incredible. On the national level, what happens, most students at other 2-year colleges, at most they're 40%, that's it. Most of them are part-time, not our students, the majority are full-time, okay? 94% of our students are Montana residents. What about the other 6%? Where'd they come from? They came practically from every other state in this nation. New York, Massachusetts, Texas, North Dakota, Oregon. It does it all over the country. And we have approximately, listen to this one, about 7 or 8 students which are from foreign countries. How did that happen? I don't know, but it's there, okay? This is the big one. Remember I said, you know, this big influx of students came from the closures, right? Well, what I have, and this is straight from the registrar, right? Adding up some figures here. This fall, 50% of our students, half of our student body, was between the ages of 18 and 24. 18 and 24. It's pretty young. And I was going into a little deeper. The biggest enrollment that we had during age, we had about almost 500 students that were between the ages of 18 and 19. Interesting, okay? So yes, we are getting lots of students, dislocated workers, but it's not the whole story, okay? Many people are starting to come from apparently high schools, right out of high school, or 1 or 2 years right out of high school. That's what's starting to happen. Yeah, I'm sorry.
So, just because you made that point, I just want to ask the question, if I graduate from high school, can I enroll here, do all of my college electives here? Because it would be cheaper, so that I could get my education and then complete my degree, taking all my core courses at the university.
Thank you. In a transfer program, which is overseen by our Department of Applied Arts and Sciences. Applied Arts and Sciences offers what is called an Associate of Arts degree. That's not an Applied Associate of Science. That's not a Certificate of Applied Science. Okay? An Associate of Arts degree is a transfer degree. It is designed for transfer. Those courses that have been designated as transfer courses will transfer. Absolutely. Not all courses at the College of Technology will transfer to the Mountain campus or anywhere else. They weren't designed to. A nursing course isn't going to transfer as an elective. A welding course isn't going to transfer as an elective, right? Our pre-calculus course will, our writing course will, many of our communications courses will, 2 of our psychology courses will. In fact, the Board of Regents has guaranteed that there's going to be 30 hours of electives throughout the state of Montana, including us, that will transfer anywhere in the state of Montana. Okay, that's guaranteed. But again, and this is important, not all of our courses will transfer, and they weren't designed to be. Understand that. One thing we do is a transfer program. That's designed for transfer. Most of the time, when you're talking about career professional technical programs, that wasn't designed for transfer, okay?
I'm a big proponent of the concurrent enrollment situation, and especially that the high school is next door. I hope you are too. But when you were speaking earlier about impediments, you were talking about the teachers here, the professors here would have to get that certificate to teach the high school students.
Whatever license it is.
Okay. But what would the high school teachers have to get to teach their own students the curriculum here and still have it qualify for here? I mean, you automatically...
Okay, the credentials. What we require as the University of Montana College of Technology, and by the way, this was mandated also by the Board of Regents, okay? Not us, the Board of Regents. If we're dealing with a transfer course, any of our high school affiliates, it's the same, at least the same credentials as we have, is mandated by the Board of Regents, which means if you were going to be doing a math course, okay, that means, and a transfer course, that means you would need a master's degree in mathematics, okay, or a master's degree and at least 9 graduate hours in math, if my memory serves me correctly. That's what that means.
So now, in your opinion, does that seem reasonable for the lower level classes?
Yes. Yes. Just to let you know, that what I gave you about the master's degree is the minimum, okay? Many of our folks have doctoral degrees, and they're doing the teaching as well. So that's what's going on.
This question's for Jane and Jody. Do you have any reach-out programs for students or ex-students that maybe have dropped out, that maybe have fallen off the map, that don't know about your program at Lifelong Learning or at Willard, or is the general consensus that these kids do know about you? Do you have some sort of established program that you reach out to kids in the community that have fallen out of the system?
Students that actually drop out of the public schools official dropout, we get their contact information and we follow up with them directly. That's only happened in the past couple of years. So as soon as you have exited them from a school, we get a list and we contact them and try to get them in immediately. Because what we found is if you give them a year or two, it's hard to get them back in. If you capture them in a short amount of time, they have lost some of their skills, and it doesn't take as long to get their GED or some things like that. As far as outreach for other people, it's a lot of referrals from the job service and people, case managers and like rehab, anybody who's working with people that know they don't have their GED, Poverello, they try to just bring them back and put them in with us. So.
Well, we're in a position where we don't need to go out and seek students. We have a waiting list that has about 46 or 47 students on it right now. So it's not necessary for us to go out and try to drum up a little business. There are plenty of kids who are not having educational success and they're unhappy and would like to get into the alternative program, and they wish it was a little bigger.
This is for Barry. In kind of a better case scenario, when might you have a new building?
If, best case scenario, right? We get authority. We have a shovel-ready building. It's shovel-ready. The architect, it's already laid out, everything, okay? So that's all done. It's shovel-ready, okay? If we were to get spending authority, it would probably start this fall, and it would probably be my best guess is 2 to 3 years later.
We have time for like maybe one more question if anybody else has.
We can take a couple more, actually.
Can we? Okay.
With the adult program, or not the alternative high school program, what kind of special training do you have for the teachers that are teaching in that?
There's no special training. They have to have a certain kind of personality and value system. They have teacher certification in their content area, social studies, English, or whatever it is. But in addition to having that content preparation, they just have a personal desire to help kids who are in the situation of some of our alternative students. While I said that it's a school of choice completely for the students, it's also a school of choice for the staff. There's not anyone there who's waiting for that opening at Hellgate to come up so they can get out of the alternative program. No, they're all there because they want to be there.
So they're all seasoned teachers, or do you get brand new teachers that that's what they want to do?
I would guess our average age right now is about 40, and some are seasoned veterans, some are newer teachers, career changer type people, but they're all there by choice. And their training sometimes is their own personal experiences, and lots of times it's just their own value system, what they think is important. You know, a lot of high school teachers will tell you that they teach English or they teach math, and other high school teachers will tell you that they teach students rather than content, and as a first look at it. And our teachers tend to teach kids before they worry about the content.
Did you have a question, Michelle?
I have another question for you, sorry. You talked about you're looking for people for the social working business partners.
Yeah.
What about having just mentors in the community? You know, people for the kids to reach out to that maybe it's not necessarily a business, but a mentor. Do you have any?
Someone willing to be an adult friend to a young person who has no functional adults in their family except them. You know, we would have some kids who would appreciate and value that kind of relationship.
Do you have a program in place for that yet?
We don't, but that's a food for thought. So I appreciate that suggestion.
Anyone else? Last chance? Going? Steve?
Graduation Matters has a subcommittee, and I think parents and teachers, and one of the issues is going to be mentoring and also adult friends. And so as soon as that strategic plan gets developed, there should be opportunities for many adults who might be interested.
And in my experience in schools, especially in Missoula, if you feel the need to volunteer in a school and come be a part of programming, I mean, that's some of what makes our response to intervention at Cold Spring successful. Is we have seniors that come in from the from the aging services. We have parents who come in and read. We have high school students who come in and do things. So my experience has been, if you're an adult and you want to be involved in volunteering at a school, that's something that would definitely be open to you.
And I know Big Brothers Big Sisters has their in-school volunteer program, which is separate than their normal program. So I wonder if there's some partnership opportunities with those folks as well.
Also, we have a lot of guest speakers. So whatever field you're in, there's an opportunity for you to come into a classroom and just talk to the kids about your work, your craft, whatever it is that you do.
Thank you so much for coming.
Semester, Montana Digital Academy served over 1,700 student enrollments in 45 high school courses, which included 6 advanced placement offerings. Montana Digital Academy also partnered with the University of Montana College of Technology and Montana State University Great Falls to offer 10 dual enrollment course opportunities for high school students. Today they work in partnership with local schools to provide services of 65 Montana licensed online teachers in the Montana Digital Academy classes.
I obviously didn't get the memo on the dress code today, so and I'm not always overdressed anymore. I was a school superintendent and a high school principal and a high school guidance counselor, teacher and coach and so forth during my regular K-12 school career, and then moved into the online learning space. And having lived really my whole life in Michigan, I looked around for a warmer state with less snow and found Montana. So, and a little fact about Michigan, it's the only state in the United States where Canada is actually south of the state, because Windsor sits south of Detroit. And that's one of those trivia questions that you get. I'm really happy to be here. I'm happy to be part of your day today. Probably isn't the greatest time slot to be in right at the end of the day, though it looks like you've been having a variety of activities. And I've already been kind of prepped that you've gotten little bits and pieces of information from some of the other people that have come and spoken with you today about the Digital Academy. So what I would like to do is a couple things. One is I'd really like to make sure that I can convey to you what we're doing, what our mission is, and we may be the 35th online school to come on board as a statewide online school, but we are by far the fastest growing, and I consider us the best. And the reason I say that is that this model that we have in Montana is highly unique in the world of online schools in the United States. And the reason for that is the partnership with the University of Montana. We are the only one of all 35 of those statewide schools that is not only housed at a university, but literally partners with the university. We're part of our Moodle environment that we offer our classes on. We're part of the UM and the other units who came together and decided to go with Moodle, and we're actually kind of the heat seekers out front, because we came in last year, Moodle was just getting off the ground, and we jumped right in. And so that gives us an advantage. It leverages resources for us. And we have been embraced just amazingly by Dean Bobby Evans and all of the staff and professors and so forth at the College of Education at UF. So I wanted to mention that because to me it's something to really be proud of. And it is something that I think is going to continue to make the Montana Digital Academy a really unique opportunity for students. So you heard a little bit of the data. There's some information coming around that's got some fast facts and data in all of our courses and so forth. And what I'd just like to do to start is show you a little video that we put together in-house. It's a little bit homespun, but it kind of gives you the feel of the Montana Digital Academy, and happens to be narrated by a University of Montana student who is in broadcast journalism. So, my mistake. Sorry about that. I was making noise up here, so I turn this.
Online school programs in the United States. Montana Digital Academy, or MTDA, launched its first course offering in the fall of 2010 and is now providing innovative online coursework to Montana students 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can learn anywhere in Big Sky Country. The 61st Montana Legislature created MTDA, directing in part that the purpose of the Montana Digital Academy is to make distance learning opportunities available to all school-aged children through public school districts in the state of Montana. The Academy is a unit of the Montana University system. This action by the legislature was representative of the efforts of many groups in the state, including School Administrators of Montana, the Montana Rural Education Association, the Montana School Board Association, the Montana Education Association, Montana Federation of Teachers, and the Montana University System, who work together to make the dream of the Digital Academy a reality. The goal of all the founders of MTDA was to create a Montana program with Montana teachers teaching Montana students. Dave Pooyer is the Executive Director of the Montana Rural Education Association.
The idea of Montana Digital Academy is really that it's a tailor-made program for Montana schools by Montana, and that's the power behind the project. The additional factor that I believe folks should keep in mind here in Montana is that this program is an outgrowth of many years of effort and experimentation and piloting of projects. And because of that, it has evolved in a way, once again, to meet our needs, the individual and the specific needs of rural schools and rural communities all across this state.
The MTDA online program consists of courses built to be exclusively online, available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, providing anytime access for students. The courses, delivered via the same Moodle learning management system that the University of Montana system and dozens of Montana school districts use, are taught by licensed Montana teachers and utilize ebooks and online multimedia simulations. MTDA offers 50 online high school and dual credit courses, ranging from the core subject areas of mathematics, English, science, and social studies to world languages and unique electives. MTDA provides flexible educational options to meet the needs of Montana students. The Montana Digital Academy has become the newest statewide online academy and rapidly has become an important part of the State Online School Initiative in the United States. Working in partnership with public school districts, MTDA has hired over 75 Montana teachers who are providing instruction and facilitation of the online courses to students from all parts of the state. The MTDA teacher's role in the online course is significant in creating a quality learning environment for students. MTDA's teachers set the academic tone in the course by facilitating student learning activities that include group-threaded discussions, projects, writing assignments, and a variety of assessments. MTDA teachers are from 29 different school districts throughout the state. Our teachers are subject matter experts that are working on making the learning environment responsive to student needs while training with MTDA to make their online teaching better each semester. The online program offers a wide array of opportunities to meet the needs of Montana students. They enroll in MTDA classes for a variety of reasons, including the need to make up a credit or to take a course that meets their academic needs or interests that is not available at their local school. The online courses provided by MTDA are helping Montana students overcome a scheduling conflict in their local school schedule, and students can also recover an important course credit in a discrete manner to make sure that they will graduate on time with their local high school classmates, which is very important not only to them, but to their parents and family too. For many students, online courses offer the opportunity to learn at a pace that is right for them. Students can review lessons and simulations until they reach a level of understanding that helps them succeed. In the online class, everyone gets a chance to contribute. Students have a longer time to think about how they want to answer a question in the online class and can add their comments when they are ready. Since MTDA courses are available to students around the clock, the online program allows them to complete their course assignments at a time that fits their own schedule. Dylan Euchre, a student in the Great Falls School District, takes AP Calculus with MTDA.
Well, Montana Digital Academy allows for flexibility for my schedule. Like, I have a full class course and a part-time job, so it allows me to do my calculus whenever I need to. I can pace myself however I like.
MTDA's unique learning environment offers students the opportunity to take courses online, utilizing many of the skills and tools that are critical in a 21st century learning and work environment. Ruth Euchre is Dylan's mom.
As a parent of a student who's going through the Digital Academy, what I like is providing him with educational opportunities that he would not have been afforded otherwise. What I mean by that is giving him the opportunity to learn through the use of technology, which will be a useful tool when he goes into college and he takes courses online through his college coursework.
MTDA is committed to its partnership with school districts to provide flexible learning solutions to help schools meet standards, diversify their instructional program, and offer students opportunities to engage in a high-quality digital learning environment. Michael Magone is the superintendent of the Lolo School District.
Is a 25-year educator in Montana, a fourth generation in Montana, and also a fourth generation educator in Montana. Our work and experience with the Montana Digital Academy has been anything but amazing for us. It's been great for the students, and I think it's something critical for the students throughout Montana in order to get further top quality education. For Lolo students, our 7th and 8th graders have been using it for distance learning in Spanish, and that helps us meet accreditation standards, whereas it would be very difficult to have a part-time teacher on a consistent basis to be able to teach a foreign language. So it's been invaluable for us.
For more information on MTDA or to find ways you can participate as a teacher or student, go to our website at www.montanadigitalacademy.org.
So that just gives you a little brief overview. I think sometimes the pictures and the ability to hear from some of the leaders in Montana, some of the students, the student that we're working with, and a parent, probably does a better job than what I can do. Really what I think I wanted to convey to you is that a lot of what we do provides for many very unique circumstances in schools across the state. And it was kind of mentioned in here, at times some of the very small schools have turned to us for courses ranging from advanced math and science courses to world languages. In the first semester, when we had nearly 1,800 enrollments, the number one and two courses were Spanish 1 and 2, and then followed closely by digital photography. And then this second semester, which we just began a couple weeks ago, digital photography is shot to the top. So we're running 7 sections of 25 students in digital photography this fall. But we offer, in the world languages, we offer Latin, which many times people are surprised that in an online school, would there really be a need or an interest in Latin, and there is. We offer French and German. We offer Mandarin Chinese in partnership with the Confucius Institute on campus at UM. And so those are native-speaking Chinese teachers that are teaching in that program. So I think the number one thing that I want to convey is that we are here to be support and partners with Montana school districts. All of our teachers are licensed Montana teachers, and that's very important. And those symbols or those emblems that were on there representing all of those educational groups in the state are extremely important to the birth of the Digital Academy. Prior to my arrival here, and a couple years prior to that, there was a program called MCEL, which was kind of the precursor to the Digital Academy. And it was a group of schools beginning to come together and try to offer online learning. But what we do is statewide. So as long as a student can get to the internet, as long as they have the opportunity to access that, occasionally we have some issues in schools with things like flash animations or firewall issues, but we've done a lot of work with schools and kind of walked through that process. I know it's the end of the day, and I know that this is a completely different exercise than you were just involved in. So what I would like to do is stop right here for a minute and ask if you have any questions about the Digital Academy.
How do you teach Physical Education 1 and Physical Education 2 online?
That's a good question.
Thank you.
The physical education classes are designed to have an array of activities that are based around various exercises and so forth. And what the teacher will do is either ask a student, in some cases if they have the capability, to do a little video cast of themselves completing that exercise, or we would ask like a site facilitator at a school, or if it's a home school, ask the parent to verify. They ran a mile, whatever that particular exercise is. And I know that's reliant on adults to be there and to be honest, and I hope we can do that. I will tell you that it's a pretty popular class, and we're working, in fact, in a couple of weeks, maybe it's even next week, I think, I'll go to the State Alternative Ed Conference, and last year when I met with them, one of the things that they said to me is, do you have any kind of a phys ed class? Because many of the students that were in these alternative programs had never completed their phys ed requirement in their school. And I remember being a high school counselor and principal, and I remember catching kids in the hall who were skipping phys ed, certain students that just felt, for a variety of reasons, that wasn't them. They got maybe a little bit intimidated by it or whatever. So they never did it. And so what the alternative schools said is, well, our choice, unfortunately, is we're in a little building down the road from our high school, but we have to send our students back to the high school to get phys ed. So we're kind of sending them back to where they didn't want to do it the first time. So that's a course that is definitely growing in popularity. No.
Are there fees associated with enrollment, or is this just really a free opportunity for kids who want to learn something new?
Yep. We were funded by the legislature, as it is mentioned in the video, for $2 million to start the program and operate the program for this school year. So there are no charges to students, parents, or schools this year. And to take that step further, right now I'm spending quite a bit of time in Helena talking to legislative appropriations committees and anyone else who will listen to me about the fact that we have requested $2.3 million for the next biennium, the next 2 years, to fund the program and still be at no cost to schools. What many of the programs that you saw on that map, the other state programs, have some sort of a tuition charge, but I really want to get this program with a firm foundation, have schools become comfortable with what we do before they get in a position where they have to make not only a curricular decision for a student, but a monetary decision. Because right now, we want to make sure that we reach as many students as possible and really become part of the fabric of the educational programs here in Montana.
Do you have to be enrolled in a school in order to take an online class?
Yes, we work directly with the public schools in the state. And so if a student is, obviously if they're a public school student, they're already there. If they're a non-public or private school student, homeschooler, all they have to do is go to their local school and seek enrollment through their local school. I will tell you, though, that we've learned some interesting lessons about that because it sounds relatively simple, but some school districts have a variety of policies on how they handle part-time students or homeschool students coming to their building. And so it has presented a few obstacles in certain school districts around the state. And we're trying to work with that. Because what we want to do is serve students, but they can't enroll directly with us. They have to, and I think you can kind of imagine that you have, you know, a group of people that maybe, for whatever reasons, have decided not to be part of public schools, and by this legislation, in order to access our services, we're bringing those two groups back together, and we kind of sit squarely in the middle. So we get lots of calls from parents who are concerned and troubled. Here's a good example, a district, probably one of the tiniest districts in the state. They have K-8, they have 12 students. They're one room, literally, and the teacher told me, he said, I think we're the last one-room schoolhouse in the state. For those students to access a local high school, they have to their parents have to drive them in the car to a bus stop that's the closest bus stop from the high school district. Then they have to ride 2 hours to that high school, and then 2 hours back and be met and brought back. And so the challenge there is that particular high school is requiring them, in order to enroll in an MTDA class, to be in 4 face-to-face classes at the local school. And so that's what they're trying to balance, because the issue for them, for the students and the parents, is just simply getting there. I mean, that's a heck of a day, to try to do. That's a pretty extreme case. That's kind of out there, but so we're trying to work through that. We're trying to get some help, and we don't want to be a threat to the public schools in the state of Montana. We want to be here to help and to be here to provide programming in cases where it's not available or it's unique. We offer oceanography and marine science. Most high schools that I've ever been associated with haven't really had the opportunity to offer that. And so there's a course that may pique a certain type of interest in a certain type of student. Other questions? Yes.
Does the coursework from Digital Academy show up different on transcripts?
I haven't actually seen the transcripts, but we have recommended.
I can answer.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, it shows up on our, we put it on our transcripts, so we just say Montana Digital Academy.
And does that transfer okay into college?
Yeah,
I think in some cases, they might just put it on as Algebra 1. I don't know, but thank you. Appreciate that.
How many courses can a student take at one time? In other words, if they were trying to take extra classes or...
Well, that's kind of a roll of the dice. And the reason I say that, first of all, one of the things that we knew going in this fall in operating a program at the level that we did is we were going to be dealing with a lot of first-time online learners. Not to mention, this is new to parents and our schools and our educators. And so the short answer is they could probably take a full, we have some kids that are taking 6 classes. We actually have some kids that are succeeding, and succeeding well in 6 classes. We also have had students that have taken multiple classes and have not done very well. And my recommendation is always start out a little bit slow, take 1 class, depending on the student, maybe 2 at the most, and learn how to be an online learner. Because one of the aspects that we're bringing to students here in Montana is the opportunity to learn how to be an online learner. And you know, there's we all hear all of these ideas that, you know, obviously kids are very tech savvy. They bring a lot of skills. They you know, all of the different things that they use, from, you know, texting and so forth, to, you know, very, very high level video skills and so forth. Those aren't necessarily all that transferable into online learning, because online learning is a structured environment that they may not be used to. And so there's a little bit of a miscalculation or misfit between the perception of students being, you know, very, very tech savvy, and then the ability to be part of a threaded discussion and make a response to another student's response that's respectful, that shows a little bit of deep thinking, you know, that isn't just, I agree, give me my 10 points because I responded. So there is a learning curve, but we hope that we can teach a lot of kids to fish in this, and so that they'll have that skill, because, you know, when they're coming here, coming to all the other colleges and universities in the state, they're going to continue to see and work with, you know, the online tools. Anybody else? Yes.
How do you handle some of the after-hours sort of intensive help stuff, like mathematics is difficult to learn in an online environment? So how do you cover the one-on-one type stuff that needs to occur?
Good question. We use a variety of tools that our teachers have access to. We use things like Google Chat. A real base one that they can use, of course, is Skype. We have a WebEx to actually use a whiteboard if they want to take students into something and actually show them. Math is the most challenging. And right now, we're really working hard with a couple other virtual schools to try to find a really good tool for teachers to be able to explain math problems to students. One thing we've done, and this isn't the after hours part, but we're running what we're calling DASH, which is an academic student help desk that is staffed by undergrads in math and science. And it's taken a little while to kind of get its feet under it and get off the ground, but I picture out in the state that somewhere there's a student who's stuck on an Algebra 2 problem, and they're in a lab setting, and there really isn't anybody there that, I probably couldn't help them with Algebra 2 myself. And so they can call, they can email, they can do a Google chat and get immediate help if they'd like it right on the spot, which might help them move forward, because our teacher may not be coming back into that class until they get done with their school day. Because all of our teachers are engaged in face-to-face teaching during the day. So we ask them, at least once every 24 hours, make sure you're in your class, you're answering questions, you're grading, and responding.
How are the teachers compensated that are doing the online classes?
The compensation model is relatively simple. We set up our courses in sections of 25 students. And so once we've cleared our drop add period, let's just say there's still 25 students in Algebra 1, the teacher is paid $100 for each student in their section. And some of our teachers last term had 2 or 3 sections of students. They're also paid $500 to just make sure the section is opened up properly, set up, everything's working, kind of do a pre-flight checklist sort of thing. So on average, they make, with a full section of students, $3,000 per section. And then we compensate them directly through the local schools. They're not really employees of MTDA. They're still employees of their local district. And so we partner with the school, and the school, we send the money to the school, and the school pays the teacher in their regular payroll process.
I'm pretty unfamiliar with online learning, so what happens if I'm a student and I log into my class? Is it like a video that you play, or what happens?
Well, the first thing that you're going to see, and actually I have some slides on this, but I was kind of staying away from slides. But what you're going to see is initially a landing page with a greeting from a teacher, probably a picture of that teacher, a little bit about them, a little bit about the course, some directions on how the course is going to operate. There's going to be a syllabus there. They may point you to videos. Some of our teachers actually will do a podcast and insert it in their course and welcome students that way. So essentially, that's what. Let me just pull something up here so you can really see that aspect. Okay, this is a landing page. This happens to be Robin Nuttall, who's a teacher here in Missoula, and she teaches algebra for us. And so there's her information over there. We ask our teachers to actually hold online office hours where they're available by email, phone, or the chat services that I mentioned. So she has them a couple times a week. Well, actually Monday, Tuesday. She has just some open times, and then Thursday by appointment. And you can Skype, you can Google Talk, you can use phone, you can iChat. The teachers will use just about any means possible. And so then in the middle of the page, there's the course syllabus and procedures. They'll put news and events over here on the right-hand side of the page. And then from here, you start clicking into the course, and you get into. We use a lot of video from Discovery streaming videos. We also use a lot of simulations. Our science program uses, it's called Smart Science, and it's from a small company in California that does a tremendous job with science video simulation. The one thing that I think would have helped me in science that you'll find in an online class like ours is you have this ability to go back and see it again, and play it again, or hear it again, or whatever. And I don't know about you, but I can remember being in biology, and we were supposed to see this cell, and we were supposed to be able to see it divide, and something wasn't right with my microscope, and it seemed like all I could see were my eyelashes in there. And so then the teacher drew it on the board, and so I thought, okay, well that must be what it looks like. With the simulations, you're able to go back and look at it, and it really helps with differentiating with students who may have difficulties keeping up with a lecture in a face-to-face class. In the online environment, they're able to go with that at their speed, go back, and so forth. The other thing is that if this were a classroom, there would be some of you that if I asked a question, you would kind of turn your head or drop your head, or you'd kind of want to become invisible because you didn't want to answer that and you hadn't read that chapter or whatever. Really, in the online class, you can't hide, and the teacher can ping every single student to make sure that they've answered the question, which is a little bit difficult for students to get used to. And kind of along that same line, the number one concern we heard from several counselors, from students, was they thought the class was too hard. They didn't expect an online class to be, as hard as it was. And I think maybe there was a notion that if it's online, it's going to be like mail it in correspondence, kind of class. Our teachers take it very seriously. They're a really good group. They have kind of a pioneering spirit because they've jumped into this. We've literally hired, I think, every single person that was licensed and qualified to teach that subject. So, and we're up to 75. In your pieces of information, there's another aspect to our program I want to talk about, and that's called MTDA Connect. And we're just starting that. We just started February 1st. And what this is a credit recovery or credit retrieval program which uses an assessment and then a modularized curriculum to offer up all or parts of a course that a student may need if they're trying to regain a credit in the course. So if they failed algebra, which is probably the #1 course along with maybe English 1, then they could go back in here, and if they, let's say they paid attention or they were there some of the days and kind of tuned in, so they could go through and in these assessments, if they reach a certain level, they can exempt out on those assignments and move to the ones that are more challenging. And then as they move through this curriculum, they will be guided and prodded and watched and also assisted by our teachers. But in this case, we're calling them academic coaches. And so an academic coach might have, during the course of the semester, might have 100 different students that kind of come and go in their course, but they're not doing the same things that teacher that I described to you in the compensation model. The curriculum is doing a lot more of the work, and the teacher's really there to help students that get stuck, watch for behaviors in the courses. Like we did a pilot of this, and we had one student that tried the same assignment 80 times. We don't want them to get to 80 times. Even if they only tried a couple questions and gave up, there's something going on there that we need to intervene. So that model is just rolling out. Right now we have probably close to 125 students who are in that program right now. So that one, though, it's much more open entry. A student can come into that program at any time. We'll also offer it in the summer. We'd like them to finish in 3 months, but if it takes them longer, we can extend that program and not have them get cut off because the semester ends. Any other questions or comments? Yes,
How do you handle testing?
A couple different ways. The tests that are smaller in size, like unit tests or quizzes, and the assessments that are in that range, there's two things our teachers do. They either can lock that and give the code to the local facilitators, so when that student is ready, they can take that. Or sometimes that is simply left open and a student can take it when they hit it. When it comes to semester exams, what we're recommending to schools is that it would be a good idea to provide a proctored environment for that test, so that the student doesn't have their iPad there with a couple windows open and so forth, so that you get a true picture of that. Some schools wanted that and really asked us to do that, and so we pushed to get there. Other schools said, we don't know if we can do that, especially in a really small environment. But the teacher can always lock that test and at least make sure that someone at the school knows when that student is there and can at least unlock that test. Whether they actually proctor them or not, I guess is up to them.
So quizzes and tests are open book unless they're like a unit?
In many cases they are, yeah. I mean, it varies and depends on. Yes.
I'm afraid we're out of time.
Yep.
Thank you so much, Bob, for being here.